Chapter 52-32. The woman wanted to retaliate. But as soon as his palm moved, it was grabbed by a small, fair, and strong hand. The girl's clear and melodious voice rang in his ears. "Huan Luo, come over and have a chat." The young lady was suddenly pulled and crashed into Yiqing Luo's arm. As soon as he raised his head, he saw a beautiful face that could topple cities. Huan Luo's eyes were filled with such breathtaking beauty. The collision stunned Huan Luo for a moment. Immediately, her face turned red. No matter how much he hated this girl in his heart, Huan Luo couldn't help but admit that this young girl's appearance was the most stunning one she had ever seen. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at the stone cave as she got straight to the point. "Since you illusory clan's people have used everything today as a bet for the future of the illusory clan, that means that you've already thought of a way to deal with Huang Wuyo, right?" Her long and narrow eyes were slightly raised, forming a rippling arc. "It's useless for you to ask me. I won't tell you." Huan Luo's voice was tense. "Tell me the method to break the formation, and I'll return your young master to you." Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she indicated for her to look towards Zhu Wuxian's direction. "If you understand me well enough, then you should know that the poison in my body is extremely strong. Even Huang Wuyo's body is being corroded by my poison, let alone your young master." Yiqing Luo gave an evil smile. "Don't tell me. You can bear to see your young master suffer unbearably?" Huan Luo's face suddenly darkened and turned ashen. Her eyes were filled with worry as she stared at Zhu Wuxin. Zhu Wuxin was clearly sitting there, but his face was slightly pale, and the cold aura around him had faded slightly. But in Huan Luo's eyes, she felt that Zhu Wuxin was in great pain at this moment. Otherwise, with her high and mighty personality, how could she possibly sit on the ground so absent-mindedly? He looked at Huan Luo's expression. Yiqing Luo knew that she had guessed correctly. Huan Luo must have some special feelings for Zhu Wuxin. The smile on her lips deepened, and her slender fingers tightened their grip on Huan Luo's hand. She closed the distance between them and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Actually, if you want to avenge the illusion tribe, why do you have to make things so complicated? Unlocking Huang Wuyo's seal and using your illusory tribe's illusory techniques to make Huang Wuyo work for you. Is this revenge? No. How can you be sure that Huang Wuyo will really be affected by your illusion clan's illusion technique? How can you be sure that your plan will succeed?" The young girl asked the question in a smiling tone, as if she was very careless. But in Huan Luo's ears, every word made her heart thump violently. Yiqing Luo's words were full of smiles, even her brows were indifferent and languid. "Look at your illusory clan's princess. Huang Wuyo has yet to unseal his seal and you're able to turn her into this. Neither human nor devil look. Are you sure that you've used the illusory clan's illusory arts to confuse Huang Wuyo, or that you've been completely exterminated by Huang Wuyo?" When the last three words came out of her mouth, Huan Luo's eyelids twitched violently. She was flustered. She had no way to rebuke Yiqing Luo's words. Everything that Yiqing Luo said was indeed what they were worried about. Chapter 52-33. If the illusion clan's illusion was ineffective on Huang Wuyo, and if they undid Huang Wuyo's seal, what would the outcome be? Huan Luo's face turned pale and the expression on her face changed from vigilance and disgust towards Yiqing Luo to worry and fear. Yiqing Luo bent over slightly to close the distance between them. Her presence was getting closer. Huan Luo was so shocked that her body trembled. Yiqing Luo's hand pressed on Huan Luo's shoulder as her voice was intentionally suppressed to bewitch. "My suggestion is to kill Huang Wuyo and settle this once and for all." Huan Luo's breathing started to turn heavy and cold. Her eyes stared at Yiqing Luo without blinking. There was a ripple of emotions in her eyes. Silence for a while. So silent that the two of them had completely ignored the surrounding profound qi clashing against each other. Huan Luo then spoke in a hoarse voice, on what basis should I believe you? Based on me, I want Huang Wuyo dead. Yi Qing Luo's words were icy cold as the corners of her lips curled up slightly. And you want to take revenge for your country's hatred, then? You also want him dead. Huan Luo pursed her lips tightly as she kept silent. She had to admit that she was convinced by Yi Qing Luo. After all, the current situation had indeed developed to a stage that they could not control. Even their illusion clan's princess was bewitched by Huang Wuyo and killed her own clansmen. If they waited till Huang Wuyo's seal was undone, would they be controlling Huang Wuyo or becoming his chess pieces? Huan Luo simply didn't dare to think of such an outcome. I can let the illusion clan's clansmen help you to break the restriction array. Huan Luo remained silent for a long time before giving her answer. She fixed her gaze on Yi Qing Luo as she said word by word, but you must first answer a question of mine. Yi Qing Luo shrugged her shoulders as she replied calmly, ask. Huan Luo's pupils contracted slightly as her gaze became increasingly solemn. In your heart, does our young matriarch have any place? Hearing Huan Luo's question, Yi Qing Luo was still in a daze. She thought that Huan Luo was going to ask about how to deal with Huang Wuyo or the relationship between her and Huang Wuyo. She had not expected Huan Luo to ask this question. In her heart, did Zhu Wu Xin have any place? This question put Yi Qing Luo in a difficult position. She hesitated for a long time before answering carefully, this is our deal. I don't want to lie to you. If you're asking about the relationship between a man and a woman, my answer is, no. But, if it's something else, like brotherhood, perhaps, there is. She used the word maybe, in a tone that even she wasn't sure about. However, he continued to explain with incomparable seriousness, from the start, Zhu Wu Xin and I have always been on two parallel lines. Even if we meet again, it's only because there's something to be gained. I don't deny that he might like me, but this kind of liking is not pure. It is far from the requirements of love that I want. He helped me a lot, but he also used me a lot. I can't say for sure what kind of special relationship we have. I can only say, no matter how much time has passed, I will always remember that a man like him appeared in my life. The girl's words were extremely sincere. Huan Luo had not interrupted Yi Qing Luo's words at all. As she listened, her lips were tightly pursed and the emotions on her face were slightly moved. Until both of them remained silent for a while. Huan Luo then spoke in a hoarse voice, I understand. Chapter 52-34. What she wanted was to know what Zhu Wu Xin was in Yi Qing Luo's heart. And Yi Qing Luo didn't lie to her. Huan Luo slowly shifted her gaze towards Zhu Wu Xin. At this moment, Zhu Wu Xin was staring at their direction without blinking with that pair of misty watery eyes. Apparently, he was very interested in the question that Huan Luo had raised earlier. He had heard every single one of Yi Qing Luo's replies. His expression was very indifferent and there wasn't much fluctuation on it. However, in his heart, there was a raging storm surging. He snorted softly. His thin lips curled upwards into a ridiculing arc. He was mocking himself. Mocking his own wishful thinking, was mocking his own fate. Yi Qing Luo was right. Between the both of them, based on their status, they were destined to become enemies. His feelings towards Yi Qing Luo. Perhaps it was the obsession from the moment they first met when they were young, wanting to possess the only warmth. Until today's deep love. But, ultimately, as what Yi Qing Luo said, it wasn't pure. He couldn't give Yi Qing Luo pure feelings. Because he had his own responsibility, his own mission. Perhaps. To let her firmly remember that in her life, there was once a her. In fact, he should be satisfied. But in his heart, there was a voice that kept telling him, to get her, to possess her, to make her fall in love with him wholeheartedly, to stay by his side forever. This was like a spell, slowly drawing out the deepest darkness in his heart. He shut his eyes hard, resisting the dizziness in his head as he slowly opened his mouth. Huan Luo. He spat out 2 words from his thin lips. His tone was very cold, but because of the hazy effect of the poison, it seemed slightly softer and hoarser than usual. Help her break the array. For simple words, made Zhu Wuxian helplessly shut his eyes. He panted slightly. Yiqing Luo really didn't hold back when she poisoned him. The poison, although it wouldn't affect him much, but at this moment, it really made him unable to move. The silent Huan Luo, upon hearing young patriarch's voice, suddenly raised her head and looked at Zhu Wuxian. Hearing Zhu Wuxian's words again, her expression changed subtly. She stared at Zhu Wuxin for a long time before she pursed her lips and said, "Yes." Following that, his gaze turned towards Yiqing Luo. To break this ancient forbidden array, it's impossible to rely on me alone. What do you need me to do? Yiqing Luo understood and asked cooperatively. Huan Luo glanced at the people of the illusion race, who were fighting with Qing Ying. Although Clear Pigeon was alone. However, the strength and state of mind of both sides were different. One side was ruthless, wishing that they could directly kill him and seize his profound heart jade. On the other hand, considering that this was their princess, they couldn't kill her no matter what. Therefore, after a period of fighting, the people of the illusion tribe were obviously at a disadvantage. There were also a few who were ambushed by the pigeons, and their bodies were covered with wounds. Keep the princess occupied. I'll go with the other illusory race members to break the restriction formation, Huan Luo requested. The feather fan in Yiqing Luo's hand opened up and a burst of dull resounding sound was heard. Her pink lips curled up. Of course, that's no problem. Following that, she leapt up and faced Clear Pigeon. Clear Pigeon and the people of the illusory race were locked in a battle, and the black and dense profound yin qi in her eyes had almost covered her entire eye sockets. That originally exquisite face was now distorted, and looked extremely terrifying. Just as one of the people of the illusory race was about to hurt her vital parts, and just as she stopped in time. Chapter 52-35. Qing Gu didn't feel at ease just because of the illusion clan's mercy. On the contrary. Just as that person retracted his hand and had yet to put up his guard. Her 5 fingers turned into a claw as she struck towards the door of mercy. Just at the critical moment, a fair hand clasped onto Qing Ji's hand. Immediately after, Qing Ji's body was sent flying. She smashed into the stone wall and then rolled on the ground. Qing Gu groaned a few times as she crawled up from the ground. The blood on the corner of her lips had stained her clothes, but there wasn't much change on her expression. She was still that twisted and terrifying. "Leave your princess to me." The young girl's voice was soft and gentle, with a hint of carelessness and carefreeness, as if she was at ease and contented. This made the surrounding people from the illusion clan to look over. The young lady was dressed in a peach-red long dress and her skirt fluttered along with the strong wind. She held the glower flame fan in one hand as she stood in front of Qing Gu, looking down at her from above. It was just a back view. It made everyone feel a formless pressure forming in the air. That innate and intimidating aura made it impossible for anyone to avoid it. Young matriarch has orders for us to assist Feng Qing Luo, to help her kill revered Worryless, to take revenge for the illusion clan. Huan Luo didn't give them a chance to continue being shocked as she spoke to them directly. Everyone's expression changed slightly. "This is different from our plan. Princess's great change has already exceeded our plan." Huan Luo's face sunk as she pursed her lips and spoke in a calm tone, "This is young matriarch's order and this is our only chance to take revenge for the extermination of the illusion clan." Everyone turned silent. Huan Luo didn't give them a chance to remain silent. Instead, she headed directly towards the stone cave which was blocked by the array. She stood in front of the stone cave as she raised her finger and drew out a drop of blood as she pressed it between her brows tightly as she mumbled something. "This array. Only by using their illusion clan's ancient illusory arts could they possibly break the array. Huan Luo took action. The others looked at each other in dismay for some time. In the end, they still joined in Huan Luo's action. On the other side, Yiqing Luo directly blocked Qing Gu, who had turned into black completely. He didn't give her any chance to ruin the illusory race's plan. The more Yiqing Luo tried to stop him, the fiercer she got. The more Qing Gu raged, the more anxious she became, the more she wanted to break through Yiqing Luo's obstruction, to prove her own ability. Qing Ji's emotions crumbled. That meant that Yiqing Luo had the upper hand. They fought for about half an hour. A dazzling golden light fiercely shot through the entire tunnel, surrounding the outside of the cave. Then, it slowly shrank. In the end, it shrunk near the illusory race members who were sitting cross-legged and covered them. The people of the illusion race sat in a formation, casting ancient illusory techniques to fight against the forbidden formation. As the golden light became brighter and brighter, it was as if it was going to be blinded in the next instant. With a bang, the entire tunnel suddenly let out a loud explosion. The originally indestructible tunnel began to shake violently at this moment. Above his head, pieces of gravel were falling continuously. When Yiqing Luo stepped on Qing Gu onto the stone wall, she felt the intense fluctuation. She frowned and looked in the direction of the golden light. Why did this tunnel feel like it was about to collapse? Break! The people of the illusion race suddenly shouted in unison. Following that, an even more shocking and deafening explosion sound, accompanied by the kacha sound of the stone wall collapsing, was transmitted into Yiqing Luo's ears. Chapter 52-36. The golden light around the illusory race's people instantly surged toward the cave. The brilliant golden light intertwined with the dense black profound yin qi. It was as though two huge dragons, one gold and one black, were tearing each other apart. Following the collision of the two forces, the tunnel started to shake even more violently, as though it was going to collapse at any moment. Yiqing Luo was stepping on Qing Ji's chest and was shaken by the vibrating force as she looked towards that direction. Which was the moment she was in a daze. Qing Gu suddenly flipped herself up and rolled on the ground under Yiqing Luo's feet, instantly avoiding Yiqing Luo's clamp. Immediately after, his figure moved quickly and he dashed towards the direction of the stone cave. Yiqing Luo's reaction was swift as she looked up and saw Qing Ji's sinister face, covered with a chilling murderous intent. Qing Gu was thinking. To kill the people from the illusion clan and stop them from condensing that force? This Qing Gu had really gone into a frenzy? To kill all of her own clan members. What was the point of her existence as the princess of the illusion clan? Who would still respect her as a princess? Just her alone, the so-called illusion clan member, how could she revive the illusion clan? Looking at Qing Ji's eyes which were filled with profound yin qi, Yiqing Luo was almost certain. This Qing Gu had completely become Huang Wuyo's chess piece. What a joke. Right from the start, Qing Ji's plan was to make use of the illusion clan's illusory arts to control and threaten Huang Wuyo, making him be used by the illusion clan. But now, everything was reversed. The person who was being used and controlled became her. And the person who played the chess became Huang Wuyo. This was the consequence of being conceited. This was the consequence of being greedy. In the end, to the extent that she herself felt that she was a stranger. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes squinted slightly as the expression on her face congealed. The people from the illusion clan had already formed a united front with her. She naturally could not allow Qing Gu to disturb them from breaking the array. Although Yiqing Luo's thoughts were running wild, but in actual fact, only a few breaths had passed. Qing Ji's reaction was swift. Yiqing Luo's speed wasn't slow either. Just as Qing Gu raised her hand in an attempt to release the palm wind which was revolving with profound qi, She waved the gourd flame fan in her hand. The gorging flame fan turned into a flaming top and spun rapidly towards Qing Ji's palm wind. Wherever the gourd flame fan went, a powerful profound energy fluctuation swept out, like ripples in the air. Qing Ji's attack was blocked. She paused and glared at the devouring flame fan viciously. Whereas the glower flame fan which had cut off Qing Ji's attack speedily revolved back into Yi Qing Luo's palm. Qing Ji's eyes were filled with hatred and ruthlessness. She didn't try to hide her actions. Naturally, it attracted the attention of the illusory tribe members who were breaking the formation. He also didn't miss the fact that Qing Gu was trying to kill them. At this moment, everyone from the illusory race felt their hearts turn cold. Their illusion race's princess, Qing Gu, was no longer their princess. How ironic was that? They respected the princess as their lord. They wanted to kill her with all their hearts. But the Feng Qinga whom they obeyed Qing Ji's orders to kill had saved their lives time and time again. Looking at that peach blossom black hair, that ravishing young lady with a calm expression, blocking in front of them, blocking all of Qing Ji's attacks. The illusory race suddenly understood something. Their young matriarch, why would she be obsessed with Feng Qinga and love him so deeply without any regrets? Chapter 52-37 Feng Qing Luo. Did you think that by breaking the restrictive array, you would be able to seal him? Qing Gu saw that her plan had once again failed because of Yi Qing Luo, and her expression turned even more sinister. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards as she ridiculed, "If you can't, then why are you in such a hurry to stop your clansmen?" She intentionally emphasized on the words, "your clansmen." Qing Gu had no reaction at all. That pair of eyes which was filled with dense profound yin qi was filled with insanity. Feng Qing Gu. She shouted out Yi Qing Luo's name. As though she had gone mad, she pounced towards Yi Qing Luo. That stance seemed as though she was going to perish together with Yi Qing Luo. At the same time, the dazzling golden light intertwined with the mysterious yin qi, and in that instant, a series of explosive sounds rang out. The two dragons, one black and one gold, coiled around each other with bared fangs and brandished claws. Finally, the brilliant golden light abruptly tightened its grip. That profound yin qi was instantly annihilated in the golden light and disappeared. The people from the illusion clan panted heavily as they laid paralyzed on the ground, their foreheads filled with cold sweat. The restrictive array was broken. Yi Qing Luo looked towards the direction of the stone cave as her pink lips curled up indifferently. Her voice was filled with ridicule. "I don't have time to waste here with you, so." Her fingertips moved. The profound light shot out from the devouring flame fan as it pierced into Qing Ji's body. That profound light was like a sharp steel needle as it pinned Qing Gu onto the stone wall. Qing Gu moaned in pain as she struggled slightly, and the thing which pierced through her body emitted a sharp pain. She lowered her head and saw clearly what was pinned on her chest. It was a silver thread which was flickering with a silver ray. It was the silver thread in Feng Qing Ji's fan. It was just a silver thread and it pinned her to the wall. Qing Gu was infuriated as she clenched her fists tightly. But there was no way for her to escape from the silver thread. Yi Qing Luo didn't bother about Qing Gu anymore. She had no intention to kill Qing Gu. This, actually couldn't be considered, as it was for Zhu Wuxian's sake. After all, Qing Gu was the princess of the illusory tribe. The people of the illusion clan should be dealt with by their own people. Yi Qing Luo headed directly towards the direction of the collapsed stone cave as she sped off. The people of the illusion clan only had time to see a figure flash past them. "Young lord." Huan Luo immediately ran to Zhu Wuxian's side and looked at him worriedly. "Are you okay?" Zhu Wuxian opened his eyes tiredly. The face he saw up close was not the face he was thinking of. The expression on his face and the light in his eyes instantly turned cold. He opened his thin lips lightly. "What about her?" She, naturally referred to Feng Qing Luo. Huan Luo pursed her red lips and looked at the collapsed cave. Big Sister Feng has already gone in. Zhu Wuxin placed his hand on Huan Luo's shoulder. The sudden contact made Huan Luo's body stiffen. She was nervous and a little shy. Young master, help this young lord over. Zhu Wuxian forced himself to stand up. Huan Luo held onto Zhu Wuxian's arm. Young lord, based on your current condition, even if you follow her in, you won't be able to help her. When Huan Luo said this, her tone sounded a little grumbling. Feng Qing Luo clearly knew that this place was extremely vicious and filled with dangers, but she still poisoned young master and left him here. If young lord met with danger, she didn't even have the ability to protect herself. Chapter 52-38. Even though Yi Qing Luo had saved the illusory clansman, Huan Luo's impression towards Yi Qing Luo had not changed at all. Zhu Wuxin pursed his thin lips. His cold eyes, which were slightly misty due to the poison, were fixed in the direction of the collapsed cave without blinking. The surging emotions in his eyes were enough to make Huan Luo tremble in fear. She knew that the young lord was angry. It wasn't because he was angry that Feng Qing Luo poisoned him. But anger, at this moment. He actually had no way to protect Feng Qing Luo. What was so good about that girl? Why was the young master so infatuated with her? Young lord, even if you don't want to hear it, I must hear it. Huan Luo endured the spreading jealousy in her heart as she tried her best to dispel Zhu Wuxian's thoughts of heading to the stone cave to help Feng Qing Luo. With your current physical condition, even if you rush over, you'll be a burden to Big Sister Feng, won't you? Revered Carefree already knows that Big Sister Feng cares about you. What if you? Huan Luo purposely lessened the strength she was using to support Zhu Wuxian. Zhu Wuxian's body suddenly staggered, and he almost lost his balance. Huan Luo hurriedly supported him. The cool and refreshing fragrance of the plum blossom seeped into her nose. This caused Huan Luo's heart to beat faster. Pretending that nothing had happened, she coughed lightly and continued, "What if Revered Carefree uses you to threaten Big Sister Feng? Wouldn't Big Sister Feng have some misgivings?" The tensed body of the man who was half supported by her strength loosened bit by bit. He seemed to agree with her words. Huan Luo heaved a sigh of relief, but she also felt a little sad. She heaved a sigh of relief because she had stopped Zhu Wuxin from taking the risk. What was sad was that Zhu Wuxin had ultimately listened to his advice only because of that one sentence, dragging Feng Qing Luo down. He compromised. It was only because he was worried that he would implicate Feng Qing Luo. However, Huan Luo did not say anything else. As long as Zhu Wuxin did not take risks and stayed here safely, that was enough. Furthermore, deep in her heart, she was still hoping Feng Qing Luo could die at the other side of the stone cave. In this way, her young patriarch would no longer be infatuated with Feng Qing Luo. Zhu Wuxin slowly leaned back against the stone wall, closing his eyes to rest. But the minute he thought of Yi Qing Luo alone, facing Huan Wuyo, putting herself in danger. In his mind, Yi Qing Luo's face kept appearing. He couldn't calm down at all. Suddenly, he keenly sensed an extremely faint trace of abnormality. That strange feeling was fleeting. It was so fast that he almost thought he was hallucinating because he was poisoned. That pair of clear, cold eyes slightly opened. Out of the corner of his eye, he happened to catch a glimpse of a black shadow moving towards the other end of the cave. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared from Zhu Wuxin's sight. It was him? What was he doing here? Zhu Wuxian's expression froze, a cold dignity rising in his eyes. He said coldly, "Huan Luo, bring me to her immediately." Young lord. She had just persuaded Zhu Wuxin. How long had it been? Why did he change his mind? Don't talk nonsense. Immediately. Zhu Wuxin emphasized. Even though he was poisoned, causing his voice to be a little weak, his aura was still there. Huan Luo was shocked by Zhu Wuxin's aura. In the end, she stretched out her hand and supported Zhu Wuxin up as they headed towards the collapsed stone cave. Young lord, where are you going? Young lord, you can't go over. That's where revered Wu Yu is sealed. Chapter 5239. Although revered Wu Yu is currently in a sealed state, but just 1% of his soul trace is enough to deal us a heavy blow. Young matriarch, you must not go over. Princess is already ruined, you. You are our Illusion clan's last hope, you must not get into any trouble. The people from Illusion clan had expended a large amount of energy to break the ancient forbidden array which Huang Wuyo had set up, and before they could recover their energy, they saw Zhu Wu Xian being supported by Huan Luo as they headed towards the direction of the stone cave. Instantly, all of them were anxious. They had already lost an Illusion clan's princess. If anything happened to Zhu Wu Xian again, their Illusion clan, it was truly and utterly annihilated. But, no matter how they tried to dissuade, Zhu Wu Xian's expression had not a single bit of fluctuation. Nor did his vision fall onto them, only allowing Huan Luo to support him all the way to the school. The people from Illusion clan were helpless. How could they let their only young matriarch get injured again, so they could only follow along. Yiqing Luo dashed into the stone cave. The collapsing boulders around them rumbled loudly in their ears. Her figure nimbly swept past all the obstacles, her gaze was like a torch, fixated on a certain spot in front. No one could see it. But Yiqing Luo could clearly see. After she stepped into the stone cave, her azure dew bracelet surged with an extremely violent energy, as though a line had appeared out of thin air. From the azure dew bracelet, it extended all the way to a certain spot in front of the stone cave. Ever since Old Man Tsang entered this place, he had some unusual movements. Under the influence of that sinister blood skill, he could only choose to fall into a deep sleep. This was enough to understand. There was probably some sort of connection between the azure dew bracelet and Huang Wuyo. And this connection, was it from Huang Wuyo, or her mother? She could only wait till she met Huang Wuyo, before she would know. As the cave caved in, thin cracks appeared on the ground. But, it didn't affect the entire stone cave's internal structure. Yiqing Luo's speed was extremely fast, and she had already reached the direction which the azure dew bracelet was guiding. The huge stone cave was filled with collapsed huge rocks. But the place where Yiqing Luo was standing now, seemed to be isolated from the surrounding environment. Broken rocks and collapsed rocks totally didn't affect this area at all. The ground was still flat. There were no rocks or boulders crashing over. It was as if they were consciously avoiding this area. And because of this, Yiqing Luo could clearly see. In the midst of the huge stones that have collapsed all over the ground, a lifelike phoenix spreading its wings was carved on a stone wall in this area. Her phoenix feathers were distinct, and she raised her head and chest high. She looked noble and arrogant, high and mighty. Around the phoenix were densely packed totems that no one could understand. Like a shackle, it locked the phoenix tightly. For some reason, when he saw the phoenix desolate on the stone wall, Yiqing Luo felt that the surging energy in the azure dew bracelet became even more turbulent. Especially, she could even feel the center of her forehead gradually heating up. The cherry blossoms that had been hidden all this time slowly surfaced on the girl's forehead. The cherry blossom flowed with a dazzling light, and it faintly flickered with a seductive red glow, which further complemented the young girl's devastatingly beautiful face, making it seem incomparably bright and beautiful. Yiqing Luo suppressed the restlessness in her heart and bypassed the stone wall. On the back of the stone wall, there were 5 large words, Huang Wuyo's grave. Huang Wuyo's grave? What did this mean? This place, was Huang Wuyo's grave? But, wasn't Huang Wuyo, still alive? Chapter 5240. Yiqing Luo was filled with suspicions and curiosity. She was just about to size up these 5 words to see if there was any mystery hidden within. The raging hurricane suddenly surged over. The overbearing hurricane was like a tornado, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, scouring the surroundings. Yiqing Luo stood in the middle of the hurricane, her ears were filled with the howling of the wind, making her slightly deaf. Her body seemed to have an extremely strong pulling force, attempting to pull her to a certain place. Yiqing Luo flipped her hand and grabbed the edge of that huge stone wall. In her hand, it felt icy cold, as though it was formed from a year's worth of frost. Instantly Yiqing Luo's heart turned cold. But Yiqing Luo still didn't loosen her grip as she held on tightly to the stone wall, in case she was blown away by that overbearing hurricane. The raging hurricane made it difficult for her to even open her eyes to check the surrounding situation. After that, just as Yiqing Luo was about to lose her senses from the hurricane, a ray of red light shot out from the stone wall under Yiqing Luo's palm. Following that was a gush of scorching flames, which surrounded her. The hurricane blew wildly. Wave after wave of flames swayed incessantly, swallowing and spitting out scarlet flames. Yiqing Luo forced herself to open her eyes. What entered her eyes was a huge raging sea of fire. The raging flame surrounded her entirely. It was like a blooming mandala in hell in front of her, floating with a demonic red glow, as though it could incinerate everything on the ground. The hurricane and the raging flames merged. This made Yiqing Luo, who was leaning against the stone wall, feel even more uncomfortable. She frowned tightly, enduring the discomfort of the environment, as her gaze swept across the surroundings. The boundless sea of fire was surging in large swathes. Wherever her gaze landed, it was all engulfed in raging flames. But, the scorching feeling was still there. But it didn't really hurt her body. At least, this scorching heat was still within the range that she could endure. Wait a minute. There seemed to be a black shadow floating in front. Yiqing Luo suddenly fixed her sight on a certain spot in front. But as the raging flames swayed, Yiqing Luo's eyeballs seemed to be swayed by the flames, as whatever she looked at was filled with layers of ripples. The raging flames were still surging. She couldn't tell what the black shadow in front of her was at all. After pondering for a moment, she tentatively moved her hand away from the stone wall. The cold sensation on the stone wall disappeared. He didn't know if it was a psychological effect. Yiqing Luo felt that the surrounding raging flames had become even hotter. She pursed her lips and walked in the direction of the black figure. The flames surged and formed a bridge of fire under her feet. She stepped on the scarlet flames, her blood like fire. When complemented with the peach blossom red dress on her body, it caused her to seem like a goddess of war amidst raging flames, noble, elegant, and beautiful beyond compare. Further ahead, Yiqing Luo could see the silhouette of the black shadow more clearly. It was a human figure, endless raging flames wrapped around that figure. The minute she saw that figure clearly, Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks. That was Huang Wuyo. Yes. The figure wrapped in flames was Huang Wuyo, with his 4 limbs spread out and wrapped in countless flames in the air. Large swathes of scarlet flames surged in the entire space. Yiqing Luo's pupils shrank slightly. Here, it was the place where Huang Wuyo was sealed. And these scarlet flames were the key to sealing Huang Wuyo. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept back and forth on Huang Wuyo, who was wrapped in flames for a while. In the end, he slowly shifted his gaze back to the stone wall. Chapter 5241. If she hadn't sensed wrongly earlier. The sudden surge of flames came from the stone wall, which was carved with the words, Huang Wuyu's grave. Or, to be more precise, that stone wall was a stone tablet. The stone tablet of a gravestone. From the moment she saw Huang Wuyu, who was entangled in the raging flames, Yiqing Luo already had a rough guess. If she hadn't guessed wrongly. This stone tablet was carved with a lifelike phoenix on one side and Huang Wuyu's grave on the other side. It should be made by her mother, Feng Gu. That phoenix should be the key to sealing Huang Wuyu. And the 4 big words on the back. It should be Feng Ge's most direct and sincere blessing to Huang Wuyu. She believed that one day, this place would definitely become Huang Wuyu's grave. He wanted Huang Wuyu to fall into an eternal slumber. The flames wrapped around Huang Wuyu's body, binding him to the point where he couldn't move at all. It came from the power of Phoenix Desolate on the stone tablet. The magnificence on the stone tablet and the complicated and treacherous totem. They were all things which suppressed Huang Wuyu. The raging flames seemed to have merged with the air. Yiqing Luo looked over. Other than the raging flames, there was still raging flames. Completely, it had merged into one. Perhaps he had sensed that someone was approaching. That tightly shut eyes, even in the raging flames, the man's face was still pale, suddenly opened his eyes. His sharp and malicious eyes shot over, like a sharp knife stabbing over. When he met Yiqing Luo's face, that pair of cold and sharp eyes suddenly shrank. There was a moment of daze, as his pupils unconsciously enlarged. But very quickly, the other party seemed to have reacted to something. That pale thin lips curled into a sneer of ridicule. You indeed found your way here. Yiqing Luo had been sizing up Huang Wuyu. Naturally, she didn't miss the moment when he was stunned and the changes in his eyes. Her long and narrow eyes squinted into a daze. What was he in a daze for? Earlier, what did he think of? Which was why he revealed that expression which made him lose his composure? Was it because when he saw her face, he thought of her mother? Thinking of Feng Gu. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with a chilly intent as she remained expressionless and met Huang Wuyu's gaze indifferently. Her pink lips moved slightly, and each word was filled with coldness and ruthlessness. If I didn't come, how could I make you completely disappear from this world? You want to kill your father? When Huang Wuyu heard this, he didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed. Although he seemed cultured and refined, his eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Under this cold and sinister smile, there was a hint of mockery. Yiqing Luo was expressionless. In this life of yours, you've done too many wrong things and the people you've let down the most are me and mother. She paused, her voice carrying a bit of firmness. So, I'm sending you down to apologize to mother. Ha. Ha ha ha. Huang Wuyu laughed even more exaggeratedly. As he smiled, the raging flames around him began to surge crazily, wrapping tightly around Huang Wuyu's body. They were like fire snakes. Huang Wuyu laughed, but his voice was clearly trembling. His expression turned even more unsightly. Apparently, these raging flames would change according to his emotions, so that it would be easier to seal him. But Huang Wuyu was long used to this kind of torture. He was still laughing. Have you forgotten, Gooper? Her soul has already dispersed. In this world, she will no longer exist. Even if this god goes down, I will not be able to see her. Ha ha ha. Chapter 52-42. Yiqing Luo's expression turned gloomy. That pair of long and narrow eyes were filled with anger. Her slender fingers clenched into a fist, as a biting cold sharpness surged in her eyes. Very angry? It's right to be angry. Huang Wuyu looked at Yiqing Luo's expression and laughed even more savagely. Seeing you angry but unable to do anything to me, it really makes me feel carefree. So what if I've been sealed? Don't I still have to use my life to fight? All of you will die one by one, with your souls scattered. As for me, I can still be fine, or I can just watch all of you die one by one in order to kill me. Ha ha ha. A bunch of fools. A bunch of fools. Huang Wuyo's tone was filled with rampant ridicule. That obviously handsome, but because of his crazed twisted expression, it looked extremely terrifying, as a maniacal smile surfaced. Yiqing Luo's expression, in the midst of rage, gradually calmed down along with Huang Wuyo's maniacal ridicule. Her eyes were icy cold as she stared at Huang Wuyo expressionlessly. When he was done laughing, he then opened his mouth indifferently, "So what if you're alive? Aren't you still suffering from endless loneliness and the oppression of being bound? Without freedom, you're just living alone, so that's why you're so twisted." The young lady's voice was very calm, without much fluctuation in her emotions. But the words that came out made Huang Wuyo's laughter stop abruptly. Huang Wuyo's eyes turned cold. "What do you know?" He stopped Yiqing Luo's voice and shouted angrily, "I only want to be strong. Only to be above all living beings, to be invincible and powerful. As long as I'm strong, everything will be under my control. There are so many people who are willing to submit to me. How could I possibly be lonely?" His face was cold and arrogant, with a tinge of ridicule, as he sneered at Yiqing Luo. "As for freedom, this seat will have absolute freedom soon. By then, you will be under me. As long as I'm around, I won't let you undo the seal." Yiqing Luo's voice was indifferent, as her long and narrow eyes were filled with a faint glow. Huang Wuyo sneered, "Heh, you sure are confident." Yiqing Luo's gaze was fixated on his face without blinking, as her pink lips rose slightly. "Of course I'm confident, because I know that you're already panicking in your heart." Yiqing Luo's words fell. The sneer on Huang Wuyo's face froze. Then he stared at Yiqing Luo for a long time and suddenly burst out laughing. "This seat is flustered? Ha ha ha. This is the funniest joke that I've heard in 10,000 years. His gaze was sharp as he stared coldly at Yiqing Luo, his eyes filled with ridicule. Even back then, when this seat and crossed hands, this seat had never felt flustered at all. Just based on you, this seat's daughter, you can make this seat flustered? Yiqing Luo didn't have the slightest trace of embarrassment on her face. She just quietly looked at Huang Wuyo. It was as if he was looking at a person who was trying to argue and cause trouble for no reason expressionlessly. It was so calm and indifferent. Huang Wuyo's body, which was entangled in the raging flames, tensed up at this moment. That face which was laughing maniacally was also tensed up terribly. Seeing him keeping quiet, the young lady's pink lips rose again, as she smiled faintly. "Huang Wuyo, you're right, I'm your daughter." When she mentioned the word daughter, her tone was calm, as though it couldn't stir up any ripples. That was a kind of indifferent attitude towards this identity, this title. Chapter 52-43. The calmer she was, the more indifferent she was. This meant that this title had no weight in her heart at all. Huang Wuyo frowned slightly as an indescribable sense of irritation arose. Compared to the discomfort of being entangled by the raging flames and the intense pain in his body, it made him even more irritable. He hadn't even opened his mouth. On the other side, the young lady's clear voice rang once again. "Because of this, towards you, I can be considered as understanding." Her lips curled upwards, the sweet smile on her pink lips brought with it a tinge of chilly coldness. "So, I know very well that you're putting on a brave front now." As her pink lips spat out the last four words, Huang Wuyo's pupils shrank imperceptibly. Yiqing Luo slowly raised her hand. She held the feather fan between her slender, white fingers and slowly unfurled it. That feather fan was encircled with raging flames. It also seemed to have a red glow like lightning, flickering in and out. It contrasted against the young lady's fingertips, making them even more fair and translucent. "Huang Wuyo, the current you. How are you going to resist?" Her hand slowly pointed towards Huang Wuyo's direction. Looking at the man who was entangled by the raging flames and suspended in mid-air, the chilling intent in her eyes almost froze the surrounding air. "No matter how strong you are, once the poison enters your soul. To detoxify it, you will need to spend quite a lot of time and energy. She laughed lightly, her tone was filled with ridicule. Now you're just pretending to be fine in front of me. I'm not exposing you. Because I want to see how long you can last. From the moment she saw Huang Wuyo's original body, Yiqing Luo was already completely sure. Huang Wuyo's current state was merely a forced act. No matter how much Huang Wuyo wanted to show that he wasn't affected by any poison. But, the poison entering his body was definitely something that could be seen from his face. Not to mention, those poison had directly entered Huang Wuyo's soul. Yiqing Luo only took a glance at Huang Wuyo's face and was already certain. Huang Wuyo was poisoned. She was rather confident in her poison. After all, it was a poison that was specially learnt to refine in the pill refining secret manual. Even for a cultivator like Huang Wuyo. Blinked in the same way. Yiqing Luo's feather fan slowly pointed towards Huang Wuyo's face as she smiled even more radiantly. Moreover, revered Wuyu, don't forget that I am Feng Gu, the daughter of the previous God Emperor, and I have the bloodline of the divine phoenix inheritance. She tilted her head and smiled brightly. So, do you think that I won't be able to mend the seal after I know what's truly sealing you? The girl's pink lips spat out word by word. Huang Wuyo's sinister face, which was filled with pride and mockery, finally began to show a subtle change. That malicious cold eyes stared intently at Yiqing Luo. Like a venomous snake's gaze, it made Yiqing Luo smile instead. Looks like, I guessed correctly. You're really smart. You're completely different from your mother, whose soul has already dissipated. Under Huang Wuyo's extreme anger, he specially targeted the thorn in Yiqing Luo's heart, stabbing it in. But, even so what? Do you think you can stop me from breaking out of the formation? Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly turned cold as her expression turned ugly. She gripped her glower flame fan tightly as she suddenly turned around and headed towards the direction of the stone tablet. Whether I can or not, let me try and we'll know. Her figure stretched out as she once again got close to the stone tablet which was floating in flames, pressing her hand directly onto the stone tablet. Chapter 52-44. That complicated totem and lifelike phoenix desolate stone tablet was flickering with an enchanting flame. As though it was welcoming Yiqing Luo's arrival. The young lady's eyes were chilly and her eyes were filled with a frosty glint, emitting a cold and determined murderous aura. Just as she was nearing the stone tablet, the young lady's fingertip drew a line. There was a cut on the girl's white fingertip, and fresh blood oozed out. A drop, crystal clear, slid into her palm. That bright red blood contrasted against the young lady's fair skin. Following that, the young lady's palm flipped. In a blink of an eye, that drop of blood had covered her entire palm. Following that, she pressed it hard against the stone tablet. Bam! 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 A surge of strong profound yin qi surged from her back. Huang Wuyo shouted angrily, Feng Qing Luo, do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? Under the blazing flame. Thick profound yin qi exploded from Huang Wuyo's body as he attacked Yiqing Luo ferociously. That momentum seemed as though it was going to swallow Yiqing Luo completely. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes squinted slightly as her lips curled into a sarcastic sneer. Huang Wuyo disregarded the state of the seal as he forcefully split out his soul consciousness to deplete his energy. This also showed that he was indeed panicking. This also showed that all her guesses earlier were correct. Actually, she didn't have much confidence. After all, everything was based on her own guesses and deductions. Looked like, the key to sealing Huang Wuyo was indeed on the stone tablet. However, she still had no idea how to do it. The only thing she was sure of was, this stone tablet had an extreme thirst for her blood. Especially when her hand was placed on the stone tablet. She even felt that the lifelike phoenix's blazing red pupils blinked at her gently. when she fixed her eyes on it. But there was no abnormality. As though it was her misconception. Which was the moment when she was in a daze. Her hand, which was placed on the stone tablet, was suddenly clasped and forcefully pulled away from the stone tablet. Yi Qing Luo wanted to retaliate. He seemed to have guessed her thoughts, and he actually took the initiative to block her attack. After that, he once again grabbed her other hand and restrained her movements. The unfamiliar yet faintly familiar aura made Yi Qing Luo's brows creased slightly. She didn't struggle. She pushed against the chest that was pressing against her and raised her head. Then, he met a pair of eyes that were as black as ink and did not show much emotion. Yi Qing Luo was stunned once again. Gu Jingyu? The person in front of her had a handsome and gentle face. Just by looking at him, one could feel a warm feeling that was like a gentle wind sweeping through one's body. Even if his face was expressionless and his eyes were lifeless. Even so, it was unable to conceal the gentleness and elegance emanating from his bones. In this world, apart from Gu Jingyu, who else could possess such a temperament? Why was he here? Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased tightly as she looked at that warm face which was just inches away from her, before her vision shifted onto Huang Wuyo. Gu Jingyu was Huang Wuyo's disciple. Now, he had completely turned into Huang Wuyo's chess piece, and had forgotten all his feelings. The current Gu Jingyu was just a puppet in Huang Wuyo's hands. A puppet which was used to deal with her. She had to admit. Huang Wuyo's chess move was extremely well played. Gu Jingyu and Chu Wuxin were different. Although Chu Wuxin had helped her a lot. But all his help was based on making use of her. Chapter 52-45. All of Gu Jingyu's feelings were extracted because of her. A person who had lost his feelings. How could he be considered as a real person? And the reason for all these was because of her. So when Gu Jingyu appeared in front of her, Yi Qing Luo was stunned. What followed was a surge of complicated emotions. Yi Qing Luo, long time no see. The man opened his mouth, his voice was calm, still that clear and moist feeling. His hand clasped her wrist so that she couldn't move at all. Yi Qing Luo's eyelashes fluttered slightly, as she struggled free from his hand. What are you trying to do? Gu Jingyu allowed her to struggle free, and after the young lady took 2 steps back, he used his own body to block in front of the stone tablet, cutting off the distance between Yi Qing Luo and the stone tablet. His gentle eyes, faintly congealed on Yi Qing Luo, as his lips curled slightly, as his tone carried a hint of indifference. My motive here, isn't it obvious? You want to stop me. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes. The previous you was not my opponent, do you think? You can stop me now? The more Gu Jingyu tried to stop her. And the more he understood a problem. This stone tablet, and her God Emperor descendant's blood, was the key to sealing Huang Wuyo. My dear daughter. Then do you think, after his ability is not as good as yours, this seat will not undergo other transformations? That man who was entangled in the raging flames, laughed sinisterly. Huang Wuyo's body was surrounded by a thick profound yin qi. That face, under the contrast of one black and one red, looked extremely terrifying and sinister. Between his brows, there was a thick black qi. Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly. She was stunned by Huang Wuyo's look. She was also disgusted by Huang Wuyo's words, my dear daughter, as she had goosebumps all over. She pursed her lips tightly, as she remained silent for a while. Transformation? What do you treat him as? He actually used the word transformation on a person. Gu Jingyu had been transformed by him, wasn't it enough? The current Gu Jingyu only had Gu Jingyu's memories, but completely without any feelings, a puppet who only knew how to follow Huang Wuyo's memories. He had already turned into this state. Huang Wuyo was still modifying him. Did they really treat humans as machines? Yi Qing Luo had always thought. Based on Huang Wuyo's personality, he would definitely take Gu Jingyu's life after Gu Jingyu had helped him time and time again, causing his plans to fail. But, Huang Wuyo has no cherry. Gu Jingyu was still alive and well. Yiqing Luo thought that he was after all a disciple whom he had nurtured wholeheartedly, so he should have some feelings for him, which was why he was so tolerant towards Gu Jingyu. But, Huang Wuyo had extracted all of Gu Jingyu's emotions, leaving behind only his loyalty to him and his mind, filled with memories that belonged to Gu Jingyu, but he could no longer touch Gu Jingyu's memories. To do such a thing. Did she really have feelings for Gu Jingyu? Did Huang Wuyo really just want to make use of her guilt towards Gu Jingyu to make Gu Jingyu stop her? Was it that simple? My precious daughter, the key to unlocking the seal lies with you. Huang Wuyo laughed coldly again. That laughter was mixed with some sort of emotion. Did you think that you only have the use of restoring the seal? He laughed sinisterly. I was still thinking about how to get you to help me break the seal, but I didn't expect you to send yourself to my doorstep. Yiqing Luo's vision shifted towards Huang Wuyo. The profound yin qi on his face and body, as well as the surrounding flames, became more and more intense. Chapter 52-46. As though they were contending against each other. Yiqing Luo's expression sunk as her long and narrow eyes narrowed as she pondered over Huang Wuyo's words. She was the key to unlocking the seal. What did this sentence mean? Her appearance. Didn't it make Huang Wuyo flustered? Why did it suddenly become? She was the key to unlocking the seal. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept back and forth between Huang Wuyo and Gu Jingyu. Gu Jingyu suddenly stretched out his hand towards her as his fingers turned into sharp claws as he attacked towards her heart. His palm was encircled with thick profound yin qi, like a sharp blade, as though it was going to pierce through Yiqing Luo's heart. Yiqing Luo's reaction was agile as she swiftly retreated backwards, narrowly avoiding Gu Jingyu's attack. Following that, she turned sideways and distanced herself from Gu Jingyu. She lowered her eyes as she looked at her chest. There was a cut on her peach-red robe as a few pieces of cloth floated down. She raised her hand and pressed against her chest as she suddenly understood the meaning behind Huang Wuyo's words. Huang Wuyo's target was her profound jade heart. Huang Wuyo wanted her profound jade heart to undo his seal. Yiqing Luo's brows creased even tighter. Huang Wuyo was flustered previously. It was because she had discovered a way to strengthen the seal. And he was unable to stop her. But now, he had a capable helper like Gu Jingyu. Not only could he stop Yiqing Luo, he could also help him to obtain her profound jade heart. It was a good idea. Huang Wuyo had no intention to hide as he saw Yiqing Luo evading Gu Jingyu's attack. He laughed sinisterly. Your profound jade heart is the most perfect work of mine and Gu. I have spent a lot of effort for this profound jade heart of yours. 10,000 years ago, this piece of divine phoenix profound jade should have belonged to me. Now, you have nurtured this profound jade heart for so long, it's time to return it to me. His voice was sinister and treacherous, with a hint of insane greed. Mentioning Feng Gu. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes surfaced a trace of viciousness. She had seen that memory from 10,000 years ago in the barbaric Blood-Bone King's memory. Naturally it was clear. Huang Wuyo touched the profound heart jade in her body. How he had hurt Feng Gu and deceived the barbaric Blood-Bone King. At every moment, he was thinking about how to dig out her profound heart jade. Such a person was not fit to be a father. Yiqing Luo's palm pressed against her own heart, her dark pupils were fixated on Huang Wuyo without blinking, her words were icy cold. My things belong to me. What has it got to do with you? Still? Did he deserve to use that word? Huang Wuyo sneered coldly. As he laughed, his face suddenly turned pale and his entire body tensed up. It was as if he was tightly entangled by the raging flames. Or perhaps the poison in his body was starting to surge again. However, he still tightened his voice and gnashed his teeth as he said, "Gu Jingyu, dig out her profound heart jade." Gu Jingyu's emotionless eyes fell lightly onto Yi Qing Luo's heart. His face was still as gentle as jade. However, the expression on his face and the emotions in his eyes were as cold as dead water. After that, he directly attacked Yi Qing Luo. His attacks were ruthless, without any intention of showing mercy. He directly attacked her heart. Yi Qing Luo's glower flame fan opened up, blocking Gu Jingyu's attack. "My dear daughter, you only have two choices now." Even though Huang Wuyo was in pain, even though he was entangled by the raging flames, it had defeated his resistance. He still forced himself to smile. Chapter 52-47. That laughter was so eerie that it made one's hair stand on end. His malicious eyes were fixated on Yi Qing Luo as his words were filled with malice, "Either you kill him." After that, he paused as his smile became even more eerie, "or he dig out your profound jade heart." Huang Wuyo was very clear about Yi Qing Luo's current thoughts. Based on Yi Qing Luo's character, these two choices. Both were unacceptable to Yi Qing Luo. But unfortunately, he wanted her to accept such a choice now. He wanted to destroy Yi Qing Luo's self-righteous goodness. He wanted to dye Yi Qing Luo black. He wanted Yi Qing Luo to become like him, a person in the dark. Her own death, or to let a puppet who stood in opposition to her, and had completely forgotten his feelings die. Huang Wuyo's eyes were filled with a hint of madness. "Every man for himself, my darling daughter. He's just a killing tool without any feelings now, can't you do it?" Yi Qing Luo held her glower flame fan horizontally, blocking Gu Jingyu's fierce attack. Every move was directed towards her heart. That pair of dark eyes, without any light, was a void of spirit. If she continued to hide like this, after a long time, she would be the one to suffer. She took a step back, once again avoiding Gu Jingyu. She looked at Yi Qing Luo and sneered, "Are you sure, you want me to kill him?" Her fingers gripped the glower flame fan tightly. Her bright glass-like pupils, at this moment, seemed to be shrouded in a trace of haze, making one unable to see the emotions within. The young girl's dark red lips curled up slightly as she spat out a few words with a hint of mockery. "If I kill him, no one will be able to stop me from sealing you completely, or making you completely disappear from this world. If I can seal you, using his life to exchange, is not impossible. Just like what you said, the current Gu Jingyu is just an empty shell without feelings, I believe. He is not willing to be like this, living like a walking corpse." The young lady's indifferent tone said indifferently. There wasn't much emotion in her voice. But it made Huang Wuyo stop laughing. Huang Wuyo frowned slightly, as if he could not believe that the young girl would say such a thing. He also couldn't believe that the young girl could still analyze things calmly like zits at this time. Their eyes met. One pretended to be cold and emotionless to hide the turbulent emotions in his heart. One's heart was in turmoil, and he was full of guesses. No one noticed, after hearing the young girl's words, the puppet, with a face as gentle as jade and eyes without the slightest hint of emotion. Little by little, the pair of hollow and dim eyes flashed with a faint, eerie light. It was fleeting. Amidst this silent atmosphere, suddenly, the sound of countless chaotic footsteps approached quickly. The first to enter was Zhu Wu Xian, who was supported by Huan Luo. The man, who had always been calm and indifferent, was now leaning on Huan Luo in a sorry state. His face was pale, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. His breathing was obviously heavy. The man's cold eyes sized up Yi Qing Luo from top to bottom when he saw her. He confirmed that the girl was not injured. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. When she saw him, Yi Qing Luo frowned. "Zhu Wu Xian, what are you following me for?" This place was where Huang Wuyo was sealed. It was filled with danger. Based on Zhu Wuxian's current condition, even if he was to stand here, it would be extremely strenuous. Chapter 52-48. Isn't the reason why young patriarch came here because of you? Huan Luo originally held a grudge against Yiqing Luo, and now that she heard Yiqing Luo's obviously unhappy words, she couldn't control her emotions. For her, young patriarch disregarded his own health and rushed over forcefully, but met with such treatment from Yiqing Luo. What right did Yiqing Luo have? It was merely because of young patriarch's fondness. When Yiqing Luo heard that, her slender brows creased even tighter. She ignored Huan Luo as she looked towards Zhu Wuxian, and her voice sounded a little disapproving. Zhu Wuxian, you know very well what kind of condition your body is in. What can you do to help me by forcing yourself to come in? Yiqing Luo's words were impolite. Although her tone was calm, and there wasn't any intention to go against him. But in Huan Luo's ears, it was Yiqing Luo's disdain towards her young patriarch. She was just short of understanding that her young patriarch was a burden. Thinking of young patriarch dragging his dispirited body and rushing over to this dangerous place, just because he was worried about Feng Qing Luo. Huan Luo instantly felt that it wasn't worth it. The anger in her heart rose to the peak at this moment. Why did young patriarch become like this? Isn't it all because of you? If it wasn't for you who poisoned young patriarch, how could young patriarch possibly be so weak? Huan Luo stood in front of Zhu Wuxian, blocking Yiqing Luo's slightly squinted, seemingly displeased gaze. Her face was cold as she continued speaking sternly. Even though young patriarch's body is so weak, because he was worried about you, he forcefully endured the discomfort of his body and came in to ensure your safety. It's fine if you don't know how to be grateful, but why do you have to say such words to hurt young patriarch? Huan Luo. Zhu Wuxian's voice was slightly hoarse as he berated her sternly. Huan Luo bit her lower lip tightly as she had no intention to move. These words, if not for me, young patriarch is filled with emotions, big sister Feng, great divine phoenix would definitely not know about it. Or perhaps you're pretending not to know. She intentionally emphasized on the terms, big sister Feng, great divine phoenix, in a mocking tone. Young patriarch isn't good at using words to express his inner feelings. He's not good at expressing himself, so even if he did so many things, you still can't see it. Huan Luo clenched her fists tightly as she straightened her body, as though she was bearing an immense pressure. Let her suffer. But at the same time, he stubbornly wanted to vent his anger. Yiqing Luo, do you even have a heart? Do they have eyes? Can't you see what young master has done for you? Yiqing Luo kept silent. It was only after Huan Luo had finished shouting hysterically that she slowly fixed her gaze on Huan Luo. Her eyes were calm, and not much emotion could be seen from them. That pair of long and narrow eyes rippled with a quiet and serene light. Just by meeting her gaze, one would feel an indescribable sense of fear. First, Yiqing Luo's pink lips moved slightly. Her voice was also very indifferent. He was poisoned because his skills were not up to par, so he only has himself to blame. The first person to poison was Zhu Wuxian. He failed to poison her and was poisoned by her instead. How could he blame her? Didn't she just stand there obediently and let him poison her? She was not a fool. As for the fact that Zhu Wuxian would be poisoned, she did not regret it. Don't say that it wasn't the right time for her to poison him. Remember one thing, the first person to make a move was Zhu Wuxian. Whereas she was merely giving him a taste of his own medicine. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes rose slightly as she opened her mouth once again. Second. Chapter 52-49. Knowing that your body isn't feeling well, but you insist on coming to this kind of place where you might die if you lose focus. This isn't called being wholehearted for me. This is called being silly. Within the forbidden array was Huang Wuyo's sealed grounds. Danger lurked everywhere. Even if Zhu Wu Xian wasn't poisoned, just standing in this place would cause him to be corroded by the profound yin qi and the raging flames which came from the power of the divine phoenix which sealed Huang Wuyo. Moreover, it was him who had no battle power at all. Even if it was because he was worried about her. He shouldn't treat his own life as a joke. This kind of worry wouldn't make her feel touched. Instead it made her feel very burdened. Worry and concern could be used. But it also depended on the situation. Thirdly, Yiqing Luo's gaze slowly fell onto Zhu Wu Xian. She was replying to Huan Luo and also telling him solemnly. As for why I can't see young Lord Chu's efforts, that's because, in my eyes, he has never existed. The young lady's pink lips opened and closed, spitting out words which made one feel sharp. Because I don't love him, so I don't give him any response. This is my responsibility towards myself and also towards him. Rather than giving him a groundless expectation, why not cut off his thoughts right from the start? But I've underestimated young Lord Chu's obsession. She lifted her eyes and sighed faintly. I'm very sorry about not being able to respond to his feelings. But this is not an excuse for you to use to accuse me. Huan Luo's expression was tense as she stretched out her finger and pointed at Yiqing Luo, her eyes filled with frost. But after some time, she didn't manage to retort. In the end, she clenched her teeth tightly and lowered her gaze. She supported Zhu Wu Xian and her tone was filled with anger. Young lord, you heard that right. This kind of woman, what's there for you to like? Heart of stone, not knowing how to be grateful. Shut up. Zhu Wu Xian's face turned pale as he struggled to break free from Huan Luo's support. This action made his breathing even heavier. He lost all his strength as he fell onto the ground. Even though he was in such a sorry state. But his stern and cold aura made him look extremely cold and arrogant. His eyes were sharp and cold as he looked at Huan Luo coldly. Since when did you have the right to interfere in my matters? Huan Luo was violently flung by him and staggered a step back. Her eyes were filled with disbelief as she looked at Zhu Wuxin. Young master, everything she said was for his sake. In order to let Fengqing Luo know what he had done. What did she do wrong? Take her away. Zhu Wuxin's eyes turned cold as he looked at the group of people from the illusion clan behind him. His tone was icy and contained a faint killing intent. Huan Luo's body swayed slightly, as if she did not dare to believe Zhu Wu Xian's words. The people from the illusion tribe hesitated for a moment before pulling Huan Luo to their side. Yiqing Luo didn't say a word as she silently looked at these illusory clansmen who were flocking over. Actually, this was the difference between love and not love. Zhu Wuxin loved her, so he was so obsessed with her that even though she had rejected him several times, he still couldn't get rid of his obsession with her. Huan Luo loved him, so she wholeheartedly stood on his side, feeling angry for him. It wasn't worth it. But she didn't love Zhu Wuxin, so towards Zhu Wu Xian's efforts, other than gratitude, or difficulty, or perplexity, she had no other emotions. To the extent that when Zhu Wu Xian refused to listen to her rejection, she pestered him several times. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-50. At that time, she was only left with trouble. Just like how Zhu Wu Xian didn't love Huan Luo, so when Huan Luo showed concern and felt unfair for him, his heart wasn't moved at all, and instead he was filled with murderous intent. In love, there was no right or wrong. There was only love and not love. You all really don't put this seat in your eyes. A sinister voice was heard from the side. Huang Wuyo's twisted and horrifying face was filled with pain. Under the coquettish flames, it became more and more terrifying. His sinister and sharp gaze shifted towards Gu Jingyu, as he sternly gave an order. Gu Jingyu, what are you still in a daze for? Do it, kill all of them, and dig out my precious daughter's profound heart jade. And offer it to me. As he opened his mouth to speak, the profound yin qi which had been swallowed by the raging flame started to slowly spread out again. The profound yin qi gradually thickened. The expression on Huang Wuyo's face became more and more painful and sinister, as though he was suffering from an extreme pain. Yiqing Luo knew that Huang Wuyo's current situation was totally fighting against the poison in his body, and even the deepest part of his soul. What made Yiqing Luo astonished was Huang Wuyo could actually endure so much. Enduring till now, he still had extra energy to spend on her. But after Huang Wuyo gave the order, that puppet like Gu Jingyu didn't attack at the first instance. He stood there in a daze, lowering his head, as though he was thinking about something. Thinking? Yiqing Luo went into a slight blank. How would a puppet know how to think? But the current Gu Jingyu, indeed, looked like he was in a state of thinking. Moreover, he didn't act immediately after hearing Huang Wuyo's order like before. She congealed for a moment, as her long and narrow eyes squinted, as she sized up Gu Jingyu uncertainly. Could it be? Just as Yiqing Luo had some thoughts, as it flashed past her mind. Huang Wuyo's sharp voice exploded once again. Gu Jingyu, kill. That man who had lowered his head, suddenly raised his head. His face, which was as gentle as jade, was devoid of any emotion. A cold glint faintly flashed across those seemingly clear yet emotionless eyes of hers. Fleeting. It was so fast that Yiqing Luo felt that she had seen an illusion. In the next instant, the man who had been standing still made his move. Yiqing Luo couldn't think of anything else. He doesn't have any thoughts. Protect your young master, don't bother about me. She didn't know if it was because of her voice. After Gu Jingyu moved, his speed was extremely fast as he directly attacked in Zhu Wuxin's direction. He didn't even glance at Yiqing Luo from the corner of his eyes. Yiqing Luo only hesitated for a moment and speedily made a decision as she headed towards the direction of that stone tablet, closing in once again. The illusion race had arrived just in time. And Gu Jingyu's target was placed on them, which was just right. She took the opportunity to study the stone tablet. It would be best if she could strengthen Huang Wuyo's seal. Darling daughter. Don't belittle your father. Huang Wuyo saw through Yiqing Luo's intention with one look as he sneered sinisterly. Following his sinister smile, cold and gloomy mysterious yin qi surged over. Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision was shrouded by a patch of dense black yin qi. She immediately retreated, distancing herself from the stone tablet. The dense mysterious yin qi instantly covered the surface of the stone tablet. At the same time, a black figure gradually revealed itself from within the mysterious yin qi. His black robe fluttered, as though black smoke was floating. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-51. That was a figure condensed from the profound yin qi. That revealed face. It was Huang Wuyo. After Yiqing Luo avoided the stone tablet, she raised her eyes to take a look at that figure and immediately looked at the sealed Huang Wuyo. Under the entanglement of the raging flames, Huang Wuyo's face looked even more terrifying and bloodless. He obviously had such a gentle face, but it was malevolent and sinister. When he met Yiqing Luo's gaze, that pair of treacherous dark eyes started to emit a deep and gloomy coldness. He grinned and laughed sinisterly. Yiqing Luo frowned tightly. Don't think that Huang Wuyo looked very complacent and safe and sound. But Yiqing Luo was certain. He was just forcing himself to be brave. He was poisoned and corroded by the seal. He had already used up all his energy. Now, he even used his mental power to condense a doppelganger. No matter how strong Huang Wuyo was, or how strong his mental power was. Right now, his body and mind must be completely empty. From the state of this doppelganger Huang Wuyo, she could tell that he was already straining himself. Previously the doppelganger Huang Wuyo had formed. It was an independent existence. It possessed an independent body and could move freely. But the doppelganger Huang Wuyo now. It was condensed from the profound Yin Qi. Its body was shrouded in the hazy profound Yin Qi and was unable to form. Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed dangerously as a sharp glint flashed in her eyes. If taking advantage of this moment to defeat Huang Wuyo's doppelganger, it would definitely cause him a heavy injury. By then, while Huang Wuyo had no way to resist, she would completely seal him. She would definitely succeed. That lad can't be relied on, this seat will personally take your profound heart jade. The doppelganger laughed sinisterly, that malevolent face was filled with greed. His gaze was like a venomous snake, staring straight at Yi Qing Luo's heart. The profound Yin Qi encircled his body as it revolved crazily. The divine phoenix profound heart jade that has been nurtured by you for so long must be the best nourishment. With this profound heart jade of yours, it will definitely give me endless power. It will allow me to directly break through this damned seal and break out of this cocoon. Huang Wuyo's impassioned voice rang out. The doppelganger grinned sinisterly. Under the burning of the enchanting flames, it seemed extremely cold. It was a chilling scene. The dense black mysterious Yin Qi surged like waves and lingered around the doppelganger's body, causing the doppelganger to emit a piercingly cold and terrifying aura. It looked like a black dragon. It could open its bloody mouth and swallow her at any time. Yi Qing Luo had long been filled with vigilance towards the doppelganger. When the doppelganger moved, he had already made the most direct response. She stomped her feet on the ground, and the peach blossom black-haired girl instantly bounced up like a spring. The glowing flame fan in his hands also quickly turned into countless sharp blades that were condensed from strong profound energy, forming wave after wave of surging waves in mid-air. Perfectly and accurately evading the doppelganger's attack and retaliating. Two bursts of energy clashed against each other in the sealed space of the raging flames, giving off a loud crackling sound. After this exchange, Yi Qing Luo was almost certain. This doppelganger's power was much weaker than the two doppelgangers she had seen previously. Moreover, this doppelganger needed profound Yin Qi to be formed. Chapter 52-52. And in this place which was sealed by the divine phoenix's power, it was completely targeted at the profound Yin Qi. It was imaginable that when Huang Wuyo released the profound Yin Qi, not only did he have to break down his spirit and condense his clone, he also had to bear the corrosion of the seal's power. Naturally, his ability was much weaker. When Yi Qing Luo crossed hands with those doppelgangers previously, it was extremely strenuous. But now, not only did she not feel strenuous, she even felt that she could easily avoid the doppelgangers and counter them. As long as she took the opportunity to annihilate them, she would be able to cause Huang Wuyo's original body to suffer a heavy injury. Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed. The glower flame fan on her fingertips spun faster and faster. Like a ring of fire, it formed between her fingers. The blazing red glow lingered around the glower flame fan under the sky of raging flames. As the young lady moved, the profound aura became thicker and more majestic. Following that, she attacked the direction of the doppelgangers directly. Her movements were swift. In a blink of an eye, she had already closed in on the doppelgangers. The aura from both sides was getting colder and colder. But just as she closed in on the doppelgangers, Yi Qing Luo's expression suddenly changed. She frowned as she stared at the doppelgangers in front of her, her heart thumped suddenly. No! Something was wrong. At this critical juncture, Huang Wuyo should be trying his best to stop her, in case she had the chance to destroy the stone tablet and seal him completely. How could it be possible to condense such a weak doppelganger? Wasn't this obviously sending her to die? So, what was Huang Wuyo trying to sell in his gourd? What on earth was he trying to do, to actually expend his own mental energy to make such a meaningless struggle? The moment Yiqing Luo understood, she immediately retracted her hand and wanted to turn back. But, oh! That thick black profound yin qi suddenly formed two huge black hands, grabbing onto Yiqing Luo's shoulders. That icy cold touch made Yiqing Luo couldn't help but shiver. A strong pulling force fiercely dragged her into the mysterious yin qi. At the same time Yiqing Luo's body hid into the profound yin qi, a fierce profound aura fluctuation surged beside her ears. As though it was about to explode beside her ears. Yiqing Luo wanted to move. But the hand on her shoulder held her down so tightly that she had no chance to move at all. Yiqing Luo swiftly surveyed the surroundings. The dense profound yin qi sealed off all the auras around her. He could even vaguely sense a sharp cold light. Ha ha ha. Fengqing Luo, you've ultimately lost because of your conceit. Huang Wuyo's sinister voice seemed to be floating around her ears. He's smiling. His laughter was filled with pain, but it was also filled with joy from the bottom of his heart. It was a smile of success. Yiqing Luo didn't struggle as she tensed up and tried to sense Huang Wuyo's position. Don't even think of struggling. Following Huang Wuyo's laughter, Yiqing Luo could feel the strength on her shoulder increasing, just obediently become a part of this seat's body. My darling daughter, I let you be born into this world, now, it is time for you to repay me. In the thick mysterious yin qi. Yiqing Luo felt the pulling force on her shoulder, as it grew stronger. Pulling her towards a certain direction, bit by bit. Yiqing Luo could even feel. An icy cold touch was penetrating her chest, slowly touching her skin. It seemed like to pierce into her heart and dig out her profound jade heart. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentle with your love, everyone please collect it. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentle with your love, hit me. Chapter 52-53. Motherf ********. Huang Wuyo was too treacherous. He actually schemed against her. Yiqing Luo's eyes turned cold as she glanced at the Azure Dew bracelet. Product equals book/web. Following that, the Azure Dew bracelet abruptly burst into a stream of raging flames as it encircled Yiqing Luo. The profound yin qi that directly invaded her heart in an attempt to dig out her profound heart jade was instantly blocked outside. The raging flames turned into clear and crystalline waves of light. With a boom, a vast energy was released from Yiqing Luo's body. The profound yin qi that enveloped her was also frantically tearing at it. As though it was contending against Yiqing Luo's energy. Yiqing Luo could feel that the two palm-like profound yin qi that clamped down on her body was gradually increasing in strength. It conveyed a sense of urgency. Under that thick darkness, Huang Wuyo's clone's face had almost fused with the profound yin qi. It was faintly discernible, crooked and extremely terrifying. Lass, you can't go against him anymore. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang in her mind. Yiqing Luo had yet to call out Old Man Tsang's name. She heard Old Man Tsang's solemn tone, as though he had made a decision. This place is a seal formed by the Divine Phoenix's energy, used to seal the extremely dangerous and evil energy of revered Wuyu. You are the inheritor of the Divine Phoenix's inheritance. The seal here has no effect on you. But revered Wuyu is obviously aware of this point. Everything he is doing now, although it looks like he intends to stop you and dig out your profound heart jade. But in reality, he intends to pour his own profound yin qi, this kind of evil energy, into your body. Listening to Old Man Tsang's words, Yiqing Luo's expression congealed once again. Her slender brows knitted slightly as she pondered over Old Man Tsang's words. She knew that she had been schemed against by Huang Wuyo. She originally thought that she had been schemed against by Huang Wuyo to control her. She didn't expect, all of this was just the surface of Huang Wuyo's scheme. And the real hidden motive was so vicious. No wonder, when the clone and the profound Yin Qi fused. The profound Yin Qi kept surging into her body. She thought it was to dig out the profound heart jade. Unexpectedly, Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes narrowed dangerously, reflecting a sharp cold glint. This Huang Wuyo wanted her to be contaminated by the mysterious Yin Qi and be corroded by the seal. What a good idea. You're not the only one fighting here. Revered Sir Worryless has stayed in this sealed land for tens of thousands of years. Even with the power of the divine phoenix suppressing him, he's still revered Sir Worryless after all. He's an existence that's comparable to the Emperor of the Divine Emperor. The fact that he could create a clone, establish the Palace of Tenebrous Darkness, and control all the realms while being sealed was enough to prove that he was getting stronger and stronger. The longer these people stayed in this sealed area, the more they would be eroded by the mysterious Yin Qi here. At that time, this seal will treat it as an evil force, and purify it. Old Man Tsang spoke very quickly, but each and every word was clearly transmitted into Yiqing Luo's ears. You can drag it out, but they can't. Old Man Tsang was very clear that although Yiqing Luo wasn't a saint, but she wouldn't go so far as to watch innocent lives disappear in front of her eyes and remain indifferent. Especially when these people could be considered as having a little bit of relationship with her. It was even more impossible for her to watch them die. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped slightly when she heard Old Man Tsang's words. When she opened her mouth, her voice sounded extremely hoarse. Then, your meaning is... Chapter 52-54. Old Man Tsang was silent for a moment. Yiqing Luo could feel the surging scorching sensation on her wrist. She pursed her lips tightly as her heart sank. Old Man Tsang, you know my temper. You know that I will not allow you to make decisions on your own. She understood Old Man Tsang. Just like how Old Man Tsang understood her. From Old Man Tsang's silence, Yiqing Luo had already heard something that she didn't dare to think about. Luo lass. Old Man Tsang's deep voice floated in Yiqing Luo's mind. That low and deep voice had a hint of gratification in it. This old man knows that the current you is already a divine phoenix emperor who can take charge of a region by yourself. Even without me by your side, I believe that you can become a better and more admirable divine phoenix than your mother. Old Man Tsang. Yiqing Luo's pupils constricted and her exquisite face turned pale. Don't mess around. Ever since I came to this strange world, you've always been by my side. We've already experienced so much and come this far. If you're not with me, what's the point of me being a divine phoenix? Silly girl, don't say that. Old Man Tsang laughed lowly as his tone was filled with the pampering of an elder. Do you know why I became the Azure Dew Bracelet's guardian spirit? Yiqing Luo didn't answer. Old Man Tsang continued, because, guardian spirit means to protect. Divine Phoenix Emperor Feng Gu passed the Azure Dew Bracelet to you in order for me to protect you, inherit the position of Divine Phoenix and complete her last wish. The meaning of my existence is to protect you. I have no regrets to be able to protect you until now. Every single word and sentence was like a confession to Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo's heart felt like it was tightly gripped by an icy cold palm. Her heart was in pain and there was a kind of extreme coldness that attacked her entire body. No. I don't want it. Yiqing Luo's petite body started to tremble slightly. Under the dense profound Yin Qi, that young lady dressed in a peach blossom long dress slowly moved her hand which was unable to move, pressing on her own arm. She didn't care at all as the profound Yin Qi had already wrapped around her. Their attention was focused on the Azure Dew Bracelet. Her slender, jade-like fingers lightly touched the glittering cherry blossom petals of the azure dew bracelet. Old man Tsang, I won't allow you to make a decision on your own. You'd better get rid of your current thoughts. It's too late, lass. Little by little, old man Tsang's spirit body swayed out of the azure dew bracelet. That illusory spiritual body was extremely eye-catching under the dense black yin qi. You must use your oppressive power to mend the divine phoenix seal as soon as possible, or kill revered carefree. As old man Tsang's words fell into Yiqing Luo's ears. Little by little, old man Tsang's illusory spirit body transformed into a bewitching flowing light that was like a blazing flame as it encircled Yiqing Luo's wrist. Actually, I'm not leaving. I'm just using a different method, to protect you. The last 3 words. Faintly discernible. Yiqing Luo almost thought that she was hallucinating. Her pupils continued to dilate and contract. He couldn't help but blurt out, Old man Tsang. It was no longer an exchange of thoughts. But he had actually shouted out his name. But, no one responded to her. That white, green smoke-like spiritual body instantly disappeared in front of Yiqing Luo's eyes. At the same time. Chapter 52-55. Yiqing Luo felt her wrist burning as though it was on fire. The next moment, boundless profound energy gushed into her limbs and bones. Boom, there was a sudden buzzing sound in her mind. What is this? The people from the Illusion clan were blocking Gu Jingyu's killer move towards Zhu Wu Xian. All of a sudden, the group of them was thrown to the ground by a vast force. Such a terrifying energy appeared. Both parties immediately stopped fighting. One by one, they looked towards the direction where the energy came from. They saw that not far ahead. The thick black profound yin qi was intertwining with the sky full of raging flames. No. That raging flame was different from the raging flame seal which they saw when they first entered the sealed grounds. That was a kind of extreme red. Like a phoenix spreading its wings to soar into the sky. With an overwhelming momentum, it broke through the profound yin qi. Zhu Wu Xian leaned against the wall as his cold eyes stared fixedly at that figure which was wrapped in raging flames. His thin, crimson lips were slightly pursed. Finally, it turned into a soft sigh. The energy has completely awakened. Fate is ultimately unable to be changed. But now, no one heard Zhu Wu Xian's soft sigh. Wu, a painful moan was heard from not too far away. Huang Wuyo, whose 4 limbs were bound by the raging flames, bounced backwards heavily and was caught back by the raging flames. Huang Wuyo's face was ghastly pale as blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The surging profound yin qi in the surroundings had obviously weakened by quite a bit. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared at Yiqing Luo's direction. His eyes were filled with anger. Feng Ge, that rascal. He actually left such a sharp weapon for Feng Qing Luo. Even in death, he was still scheming against him. Huang Wuyo could feel that the energy on his body was dissipating continuously. The profound yin qi which encircled his body, forming a protective shield, was also dispersing bit by bit under the purification of the raging flames. His face was livid and dark, extremely ugly. He knew that Yiqing Luo had quite a number of protective talismans on her. And he was very clear that Yiqing Luo had a trump card on her. And it was because of that trump card which made him stumble over Yiqing Luo time and time again. What he didn't expect was, that trump card was actually the azure dew bracelet on Yiqing Luo's wrist, which was refined from Feng Ji's soul. Yes. This was a soul-forged azure dew bracelet. This was an azure dew bracelet that was forged by consuming one's own cultivation and using one's soul as the core. It didn't just contain Feng Ji's power. There was even a hidden power that made people tremble in fear at the mention of it. He had also heard about Feng Ge forging the azure dew bracelets and the azure dew divine artifact. Back then, when he was with Feng Gu, he had thought of looking for an opportunity to find the Azure Dew bracelet and the Azure Dew 5-piece set. He had seen the Azure Water 5-piece set many times. But he had never seen the Azure Dew bracelet before. He had not expected that Feng Gu would pass the Azure Dew bracelet into Yiqing Luo's hands. No wonder he couldn't find any traces of Yiqing Luo back then. So when Feng Gu sent Yiqing Luo into the 21st century realm, he used the Azure Dew bracelet to obstruct his search. Or perhaps, the existence of the Azure Dew bracelet was precisely because of Yiqing Luo. When the power of the Azure Dew bracelet and its master combined into one, that was when its power was at its strongest. Just like Yiqing Luo right now. Of course, no matter how Huang Wuyo thought about it, he wouldn't be able to understand the activation of the Azure Dew bracelet's power. It was because of Old Man Tsang's self-sacrifice. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler and collect it. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler and hit me. Chapter 52-56. And it was because of Old Man Tsang's sacrifice. This caused Yiqing Luo's emotions to be totally out of control. Originally because she inherited the God Emperor's inheritance, the profound qi in her body was suppressed. At this moment it was like water bursting out from a dam, spreading wave after wave throughout Yiqing Luo's limbs and bones. Yiqing Luo's energy exploded at this moment. Her power was unfathomable and shocking. But the drawback was Yiqing Luo's body couldn't take such a load. Her energy was completely in a messy state in her body. But at this moment, no one could stop Yiqing Luo from going berserk. You fall into a deep sleep forever. A coquettish flame, like the cry of a phoenix, shot up into the sky. With a loud bang, the profound yin qi surrounding Yiqing Luo's body was completely blown away. Powerful energy surged around Yiqing Luo's body. Under that raging flame, young Lady Peach Blossom's figure was flickering, like a sharp cold ray, like a 1,000-year-old frost, piercing through everyone's eyes. She held the glower flame fan in one hand, slowly pointing it at Huang Wuyo. That glower flame fan carried a piercingly cold and majestic profound energy, surging like a wave. Bam! There was no hesitation or pause at all. Under the coquettish and glaring profound qi, the glower flame fan on the young lady's fingertips was like a poisonous snake swaying, outlining a flaming tail. My precious daughter, do you think this level can hurt me? Huang Wuyo's eyes widened, bloodshot red. His face was sinister as he shouted angrily. Under the entanglement of the God Emperor's seal, countless profound yin qi was released. The moment the two terrifying forces collided in mid-air, a terrifying aura burst forth. As if one could vaguely hear that not far away. There was a faint cracking sound coming from the huge stone tablet. When the two energies collided, Huang Wuyo's heart felt like it was being torn apart. His entire body seemed to be bound by a huge force. As if it wanted to devour his everything. For thousands of years, even when he was facing Feng Gu, he had never felt such a pressing feeling. And now, facing Yiqing Luo, the daughter who he had always treated as the divine phoenix profound jade heart's vessel, the prophesied tool to obtain the world. It actually made him, for the first time in his life, feel a sense of oppression. He couldn't wait any longer. He had no more time. Never mind, as long as he could break this damned seal and regain his freedom. Even if he hadn't recovered his full strength. He had the absolute confidence to make Yiqing Luo completely become a puppet that was controlled by him. A trace of ruthlessness flashed across Huang Wuyo's eyes at the thought of this. Yiqing Luo didn't stop after that strike as she launched another attack. The profound radiance that resembled a phoenix spreading its wings contained terrifying killing intent that interweaved into a sharp blade that could take away a person's life. Her stance, it was clear that he wanted to kill him by force. This time, Huang Wuyo had no intention of dodging. But when Yiqing Luo went up to meet him, the mysterious yin qi that enveloped his body suddenly turned into strands of black threads that merged with the raging flames. Dense streams of light interweaved with the raging flames. Without the protection of the mysterious yin qi, Huang Wuyo let out a groan. That sinister and twisted face twisted into a ball due to the pain, and his entire body began to curl up slightly. He didn't have the mysterious yin qi as a shield. He was thoroughly enjoying the pain of being entangled by the God Emperor's seal. However, under the extreme pain, the corners of Huang Wuyo's mouth slowly curled up into a smile. That smile was so strange that it made one's heart turn cold. Chapter 52-57. Yiqing Luo frowned slightly. Did Huang Wuyo still have any tricks up his sleeves? Her long and narrow eyes narrowed as her fingertips lightly tapped the air. The power of the glowing flame fan, the terrifying and dense profound energy, slowly rippled out in the air. Yiqing Luo, don't go near him. A weak voice came from not far away. It was Zhu Wuxin. His scorching cold eyes congealed on Yiqing Luo, focused and serious. 10,000 years ago, other than the one who gets you, gets the world. Actually, there's still the second half of the prophecy. Zhu Wuxian's words not only made Yiqing Luo look towards him. Even Huang Wuyo, who was smiling weirdly, looked over. There was a second half to the prophecy? What did that mean? The second half is, Zhu Wuxian looked at Yiqing Luo as he spoke out word by word, Phoenix girl descending from the heavens, the awakening of the phoenix, is about to destroy the world. Impossible. Huang Wuyo roared in anger, his eyes bloodshot. His body, which was curled up under the seal, was extremely tense and trembling. It was like a demon that was about to break free from its shackles in rage. The awakening of the phoenix, the destruction of the world? Just based on Yiqing Luo. How could he possibly destroy Wanshi? How could someone like her, who valued relationships and loyalty so much, destroy the world? Zhu Wuxin said mockingly, the prophecies of the illusion race have never been successful. Back then, after Venerable Carefree obtained the first clue, he exterminated the entire illusion race. How did he know the second half of the prophecy? Then how did you know? Huang Wuyo was furious. Back then, Huang Wuyo had gone back to find the illusion race. It was because he believed in the prophecy of the illusory race. Now that he heard Zhu Wuxin's words, it was completely different from the prophecy he had heard. His confidence and belief that he would soon be able to control all the worlds in the world also showed signs of collapsing at this moment. The one who obtained the Phoenix Lady would obtain the world. The awakening of the Phoenix would destroy the world. These two prophecies. There were two completely different results. He had painstakingly planned all of this, and he had even given up on the warmth that he had once wanted for a moment. He wholeheartedly lured the so-called Phoenix Lady, which was Yiqing Luo, into this world. All for the sake of obtaining Yiqing Luo, to obtain the myriad worlds. But, now, this Phoenix girl that he had painstakingly designed, the one who could make him stand above all worlds, instead, he became the person who destroyed the world. It was also to destroy the person he wished for. No. Absolutely impossible. He would absolutely not let Yiqing Luo become the person who would destroy the world. What he wanted was for her to become his tool. The ruthlessness and profound yin qi in Huang Wuyo's eyes intensified. Her eyes were almost covered with a layer of deep darkness. Meanwhile, the mysterious yin qi, which had turned into countless thin threads, suddenly twisted. The thin threads, carrying with them a ferocious and terrifying power, twisted and spiraled, forming a strange totem. The densely packed streams of black light were exceptionally obvious under the blazing flames. That complicated totem was clearly reflected in Yiqing Luo's eyes. The girl's long and narrow eyes flickered with a cold light, like ice falling from the sky, without the slightest fluctuation of emotion. Huang Wuyo had always been good at using sinister and cunning methods. Especially, he knew all kinds of ancient forbidden techniques, forbidden spells, forbidden formations, and other unorthodox things. This totem, she was afraid. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed dangerously. Her fingertips moved swiftly. The glower flame fan spun out a fire dragon, bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced towards that totem. Boom! A deafening explosion was heard. The entire space seemed to have exploded. The raging flame spun rapidly and started to distort. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-58. Her profound energy was unable to get close to that distorted totem. Just at this moment. Ah, a crisp child's voice was heard from nowhere. After Yiqing Luo retracted her profound energy, she saw two black figures descending from the sky from the distorted totem. Then, it smashed heavily into the distorted spatial light wave and rolled a few times in a row. The distorted totem turned into densely packed black rays of light. Like a broken spider web, it spread out densely. Yiqing Luo's vision, when it met those two figures, her pupils congealed. The expression on her face instantly tensed up. She didn't have time to think. She had already leapt up, as her figure speedily headed towards the direction of that totem. Her hand was just about to touch those two figures. A loud boom was heard. A burst of valiant profound yin qi brushed past her arm, bringing along a piercingly cold gloomy malevolence. Those two figures were firmly bound in mid-air by two balls of profound yin qi. Raging flames surged. The profound yin qi's undulations were extremely messy. Yiqing Luo congealed her eyes, as she stared intently at those two figures, as her voice sunk slightly. Huang Wuyo, what are you trying to do? Huang Wuyo's face turned pale, as cold sweat kept dripping down. But he still grinned widely, as he gave a horrifying and crazy smile. He forced himself to take a breath, as he looked at the two figures entangled in the profound yin qi, as he laughed coldly. This seat admires you very much, my precious daughter. If you're willing to become this seat's assistants, I believe this seat will dote on you, this daughter. Very few people are able to force this seat to such a state. Although he was smiling, the tone in his words was incomparably cold, with a hint of viciousness. Yiqing Luo's expression darkened, as her gaze swept past those two figures, as she spoke with some ridicule. Dote on your daughter? Your current behavior makes me very suspicious. Are you able to be a good father, and dote on me? She clenched the glower flame fan in her hands tightly. You pulled Ling Long here, to make use of Ling Long, to threaten me? Yes, Ling Long, Huang Wuyo's biological daughter. Princess Ling Long of the secluded palace. That, her half-sister. Right now, it was being entangled by Huang Wuyo's mystical yin energy. Earlier, Huang Wuyo had used the mysterious yin energy to execute a forbidden spell to summon Ling Long. Yiqing Luo didn't quite understand. Why did Huang Wuyo summon Ling Long over? Especially, Ling Long had been summoned, and the other small figure was none other than Feng Shi. Big sister, after hearing Yiqing Luo's voice. The two little people, who were entangled by the mysterious yin qi, painfully spat out two words. They all looked towards Yiqing Luo. Her face was filled with pain and bewilderment. He had no idea what was going on. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk by several degrees as the dim light in her eyes fluctuated. She pursed her lips and made her voice calm down. Don't worry, sister will save you right now. Save? Huang Wuyo scoffed lightly, as his face was filled with ridicule. You're thinking too simply. His gaze swept past Yiqing Luo greedily. My good daughter, to this seat, she no longer has any use, so naturally. She will no longer receive this seat's love. But, you're different. Your intelligence, your ability, will be this seat's best aid. This seat will naturally. While you still have value, I will give you a father's love. Huang Wuyo's words were extremely straightforward. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-59. There was no emotion in his words at all. As though no matter who it was, in his eyes. They were just tools that could be used. If they had no value, then they could be abandoned any time. Yiqing Luo laughed when she heard that. Her long and narrow eyes stared coldly at Huang Wuyo. The coldness in her eyes made her look extremely sharp. Then what makes you think that I am willing to be your tool? Her pink lips curved slightly, as though she was smiling. However, the coldness in her eyes caused her smile to be even more horrifying and cold. As for me, I actually have something in common with you. She scoffed lightly as her words were icy cold. I only want to control my life in my own hands. When Huang Wuyo heard that, he laughed sinisterly and sharply. That laughter was so ear-piercing that it made one's hair stand on end. The more he laughed, the higher the frequency of the vibration in his chest. As though he was trying his best to endure the pain in his body. As for Feng Shi and Linglong, who were entangled by the two balls of profound yin qi, they were howling in pain along with Huang Wuyo's ear-piercing laughter. Children had always been afraid of pain. Towards Huang Wuyo's toughness, they couldn't take it at all. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as she looked at Feng Shi's face, which was filled with pain. Her brows knitted even tighter. Huang Wuyo listened to the child's low moans and miserable cries, and heard Yiqing Luo's low cry as he laughed even more savagely. Ever since Ling Long was born, this seat had already cast a master and servant forbidden curse on her. As long as this seat is willing, I can summon her any time and anywhere. Master-servant forbidden spell? When she heard these words, Yiqing Luo's expression suddenly darkened. What kind of beast was he, to cast such a forbidden spell on his own biological daughter? Summon her anytime and anywhere? What did he treat Linglong as? As though he could see Yiqing Luo's anger and doubts. Huang Wuyo's smile became even more sinister. I allowed Linglong to be born because I wanted to see if my other children, other than my and Feng Ji's bloodline, which can form the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade, could also possess the Divine Phoenix Profound Heart Jade. He sighed softly as his tone was filled with pity. What a pity. Linglong has disappointed this seat. Father. Linglong's voice was hoarse as she listened to Huang Wuyo's cold voice, which she couldn't understand at all. Her heart was filled with panic and fear. But she was also clear that the person who made her so miserable and afraid was her father. However, it doesn't matter. After all, he is a descendant of this Great One's bloodline. He will more or less be of some use to this Great One. Huang Wuyo cast a sharp glance at Linglong. Thick profound yin qi entangled Linglong and sent her towards Huang Wuyo's direction. Feng Shi was so angry that her eyes turned red as she struggled with all her might while shouting Linglong's name. Linglong was scared out of her wits as she looked at this father who she seldom saw but treated her very well and was very gentle. But now he had such a hideous and terrifying smile. This seat's original intention was to summon Linglong over. I didn't expect that child from the Feng family would forcefully follow me. Huang Wuyo clicked his tongue. You Feng family people are so troublesome. So sentimental at such a young age. And the consequence of this is. He smiled maliciously, he has become a tool for this seat to restrain you. Chapter 52-60. Huang Wuyo's words made Yiqing Luo understand the reason why Feng Shi was summoned here. It was probably because, when Huang Wuyo used the forbidden spell to summon Linglong to this sealed grounds, Feng Shi was by the side. She didn't know what method she used, but she was brought into the sealed grounds together with Linglong. She squinted her long and narrow eyes as her gaze met with Feng Shi's undetectable gaze. She gave a comforting look, indicating to Feng Shi not to panic. Then, he turned his gaze to Linglong, who had been sent to Huang Wuyo by the profound Yin energy and was standing very close to him. She was secretly guessing what scheme Huang Wuyo was trying to use Linglong to complete. "My dear daughter, don't have any crooked ideas." Huang Wuyo grinned eerily as that pair of sinister and scarlet eyes revealed a sinister cold glint. "Now, there's no way for you to turn back." Just as he finished his sentence, bam! The surging wave was like a surging huge wave, bringing along the majestic profound energy as it crashed onto the surrounding profound waves. The thin mysterious Yin Qi, which had been scattered by the attack, suddenly grew thicker. The thick black Qi filled the entire area in front of Yi Qing Luo. It covered the sky full of raging flames. Yi Qing Luo thought that she had gone blind for a moment. However, this darkness only lasted for a moment. After the thick black Qi surged like waves. Not long later, the raging flames surged up again, suppressing the thick black profound Yin Qi. The two forces tangled with each other in mid-air, killing each other. The two terrifying forces clashed against each other. The raging profound waves in the air were vibrating. And it was at this moment when the raging flames intertwined. Yi Qing Luo saw, Linglong's tiny body floated in front of Huang Wuyo. Her four limbs seemed to be bound by something as they were wide open, unable to move at all. That pair of black bright eyes widened in disbelief as she looked ahead with some fear and uneasiness. She wanted to struggle but had no energy to move. Her tiny body was in the thick black profound Yin Qi. The vast and terrifying energy kept colliding between the two forces. Yi Qing Luo. Under the onslaught of this boundless and terrifying power, the man's cold and weak voice came from behind. Yi Qing Luo abruptly turned her head back. Unbeknownst to her, Zhu Wuxin was being supported by a member of the illusion race. That cold and handsome face seemed a little pale under the raging flames that filled the sky. Yi Qing Luo frowned. "Isn't it better to stay at your clansman's side? Right now, you are the only hope of the illusion tribe. How can you be so willful and not care about your own body?" Zhu Wuxin's dark eyes brightened slightly. "You're still worried about me?" Yi Qing Luo. She didn't have the time to argue with him about this kind of meaningless question. She retracted her gaze and looked in the direction of Huang Wuyo. His mind was spinning rapidly as he tried to think of a way to rescue Feng Shi and Linglong from Huang Wuyo's hands. Behind him, Zhu Wuxin's indifferent voice sounded again. "If I'm not wrong, revered Worryless wants to use this young lady as a sacrifice to break the seal." Sacrificial offerings? Yi Qing Luo's heart tightened. What do you mean? Since revered Worryless is able to condense his soul consciousness and break free from the seal, using his human form to meet us, that's enough to prove that he has the ability to break this barrier. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5261. Zhu Wu Xian's words made Yi Qing Luo's pupils shrink slightly. Her brows were tightly knitted as her eyes were filled with sharpness. "What you mean is, there's another reason why he hasn't broken the seal yet?" Zhu Wu Xian's gaze shot towards Huang Wuyo. "He should be waiting to absorb enough energy so that he can break the seal with his peak energy to be reborn." Peak energy. Yi Qing Luo's eyes widened. She understood. Zhu Wu Xian meant Huang Wuyo had yet to break the seal because his current energy had not recovered to the state back then. He was conserving his energy, making use of this huge forbidden curse to give his soul and his body, which had been sealed for thousands of years, a brand new state. But now, Huang Wuyo wanted to directly break the seal. Under this kind of condition where his soul was injured and his soul was injected with poison, break the seal? No wonder. Huang Wuyo had just said that she was forcing him. Huang Wuyo was forced by him to break the seal in advance. And this opportunity to break the seal, could it be related to Ling Long? Otherwise, based on Huang Wuyo's character, how could he possibly cast the so-called master and servant forbidden curse on Ling Long? And at such a critical juncture, he even exhausted his energy to summon Ling Long over? All these thoughts started to form in her mind bit by bit. She also understood the cause and effect of everything. She raised her eyes as her vision fell onto the little girl who had a painful expression. Ling Long didn't know what her father wanted to do to her. Her eyes were misty with tears as she looked at Huang Wuyo pitifully, attempting to get a little bit of pity from him. But the little girl's eyes were blurred with tears. The only thing that could be seen was the sinister, twisted, and malicious smile on his face. Suddenly, Ling Long's mind buzzed. Vaguely, she seemed to hear a soft voice, like a gentle breeze, dispelling the pain in her body, ringing in her mind. Yes, it was her mind, not her ears. As though a voice had appeared out of thin air in her mind. Ling Long, that voice was calling her name. Ling Long went into a blank as her heart was shocked. This was... Sister? It's me. That voice, gently rang, don't say anything, listen to sister. Ling Long's tiny body trembled slightly. Do you trust me? The girl asked in a gentle voice. Ling Long endured the pain in her body and answered in her heart, I do. The girl smiled. Be good. Close your eyes and have a good sleep. When you wake up, everything will be over. Sleep? How was she supposed to sleep? The energy surrounding her seemed to want to suck her dry. Her pain was unbearable. But listening to the girl's gentle voice, Ling Long couldn't help but want to believe it. Her tear-stained eyes trembled as she closed them. In the instant that he closed his eyes, Yi Zichen's expression changed. As she breathed, she seemed to smell a faint medicinal fragrance. In the next instant, she lost all consciousness and senses and fell into a deep slumber. Huh? Huang Wuyo was currently injecting profound Yin energy into Ling Long's body. Suddenly, the little person who was struggling in the mysterious Yin Qi stopped struggling and became motionless. He paused for a moment and sent out his mysterious Yin Qi. He discovered that Ling Long had completely lost consciousness. His brows creased slightly as an ominous premonition arose in his heart. He suddenly raised his head and looked towards Yiqing Luo. Coincidentally, he met with the young lady's narrow, slightly curved eyes. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-62. That pair of eyes was like a vast starry sky, twinkling with stars. Between the ripples of light, there were spots of cold light, revealing a sharp edge. Huang Wuyo realized something. Swiftly carrying Ling Long, he released an even thicker profound Yin Qi, wrapping Ling Long up tightly. Bam! A strong and majestic profound ray surged over. The raging flame was like a fire dragon, or a phoenix spreading its wings. It was especially obvious under the fiery red sky. The young lady in peach blossom robes and jet black hair, under the raging flame, was as red as fire. Her slender, jade-like fingers held a devouring flame fan that was filled with raging flames. In a split second, like a rainbow, it exploded. The young lady's actions were extremely fast. And she was totally unafraid of the surrounding profound Yin Qi. He forcefully used his own body to knock away the mysterious Yin energy that filled the sky as he flew towards Huang Wuyo to attack him. The glower flame fan split the wind and waves. Yiqing Luo's approach was not obstructed at all. If it wasn't for the close distance. Huang Wuyo could see Yiqing Luo's resolute and icy cold eyes, but with a slight hint of pain. He thought. Yiqing Luo had no feeling towards his profound yin qi's corrosion. Earlier, Yiqing Luo had obviously sensed his intention to use the profound yin qi to control her. This caused his profound yin qi to be unable to harm Yiqing Luo. But now, Yiqing Luo actually took the initiative to knock against his profound yin qi. Was she trying to save Linglong by force? She was willing to sacrifice herself. Huang Wuyo's eyes shot out a malicious glint, the profound yin qi around him became thicker. The moment Yiqing Luo rushed over, she immediately sucked Linglong, who was wrapped like a cicada pupa, into his palm. Even though her limbs were tightly bound by the God Emperor seal, he still held on to Linglong's arm firmly. That tiny figure was faintly discernible under the thick darkness. But he did not continue to do anything to Linglong. But at the moment when Yiqing Luo's target was Linglong, the overwhelming profound yin qi was like a tidal wave, entangling towards Yiqing Luo. But the profound yin qi's entanglement was just a pile of air. The girl with black hair and peach-colored clothes disappeared into the darkness. Huang Wuyo's expression stiffened slightly, as if he had suddenly recalled something, causing his expression to change greatly. However, he did not have time to react. The next moment, the girl's cool and clear voice reached his ears. "Have you reacted? Unfortunately, it's too late." That voice was so close to him. Shockingly, it came from right beside him. At the same time, a chilling killing intent was transmitted over Yiqing Luo, who possessed the Azure Dew bracelet. On top of that, he also knew one of the 5 ghosts' ancient secret arts, the teleportation secret art. Her target had never been Linglong from the start. It was him. Huang Wuyo was infuriated. This Yiqing Luo, was she fooling him? Did she think it would be that easy to kill him? What a joke! Huang Wuyo thought that he understood Yiqing Luo very well and thought that he had guessed correctly about Yiqing Luo, so that now he was both embarrassed and annoyed. There was only one thought in his mind. That was to make Yiqing Luo's motive fail. 10,000 years ago, he lost to Feng Ge because of a moment of soft-heartedness. 10,000 years later, he absolutely could not lose to Feng Ge's daughter, his own daughter. Huang Wuyo's throat exploded with a hoarse roar. The vast profound yin qi crazily surged towards Yiqing Luo. The overbearing aura which bared its fangs and brandished its claws seemed to want to swallow Yiqing Luo. But which was the moment when Huang Wuyo raged and launched his attack. The young lady's pink lips curled up bit by bit. "Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 52-63. She raised her hand. Her palm was covered with a layer of blood stains. The traces of blood were distinct on her fair and delicate palm, outlining a totem that wasn't too complicated, but it was hard to understand. Indistinctly, it seemed as though a phoenix was spreading its wings in the palm, flashing its dazzling tail. That was the God Emperor's blood. Huang Wuyo's expression was so dark that it seemed as though water could drip out. This Yiqing Luo actually thought of using the God Emperor's blood to condense the God Emperor's inheritance power in an attempt to injure him. He had a good daughter, her brain was really quick. Huang Wuyo's expression was sinister as his eyes were filled with a haze of viciousness. "Don't belittle me." He gave a shrill cry as a thick profound yin qi suddenly surged and the rising and explosive aura instantly attacked Yiqing Luo. He had also successfully imprisoned Yiqing Luo's hand firmly. Huang Wuyo laughed sinisterly, but before he could say a word, suddenly, a weak fluctuation made him turn his gaze towards that direction. He saw that tiny figure was pulling Linglong out from the profound yin qi which he had no time to care about. The little boy's little hand held Linglong's little hand tightly, and after pulling her to his side, he immediately turned around and ran towards the direction of the illusion clan. Huang Wuyo's pupils contracted. Linglong. Huang Wuyo, your opponent is me. The young lady's clear voice was as clear as water. Just as Huang Wuyo was attempting to chase after Feng Shi, her power suddenly wrapped around Huang Wuyo, preventing him from moving. Feng Shi was very smart. He knew that as long as he entered the protection circle of the illusion clan, he and Linglong would be safe for the time being. Huang Wuyo was indeed pinned down by Yiqing Luo. Huang Wuyo's guess right from the start was actually correct. Yiqing Luo's motive was only to save Linglong from the start. And what she relied on was Huang Wuyo's conceit. Moreover, her plan had succeeded. Huang Wuyo's conceit made him believe in his own judgment, which gave her the opportunity to take advantage of. Her repeated provocations had already disrupted Huang Wuyo's rhythm. And the reason why she thought of using her blood to intimidate Huang Wuyo was actually because of Huang Wuyo. Huang Wuyo didn't show it. But Yiqing Luo could clearly feel Huang Wuyo's fear towards the God Emperor seal. The Divine Emperor seal was a seal that his mother had used up all her strength to set up. She kept thinking about it. His mother's power had suppressed Huang Wuyo. Then, as the daughter of the Divine Emperor and the inheritor of the Divine Emperor's legacy, would she also have some influence on Huang Wuyo? Since he had a guess in his heart, he would act on it. Yiqing Luo used her God Emperor blood to attack Huang Wuyo. As expected, it caused Huang Wuyo to retaliate. Huang Wuyo had never expected that the situation, which had been under his control, would develop to such an extent. He stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo, as though he was in a state of rage. What a good Feng Qing Luo. You've really, completely infuriated this seat. When he called Yiqing Luo, it was no longer a disgusting term like baby daughter. He no longer called her by her surname of Yi. Instead, he directly called out her current name. Feng family, Feng Qing Luo. It could be seen how angry Huang Wuyo was right now. Yiqing Luo stopped Huang Wuyo, and on seeing that the two little people had entered the illusory clan's area, she then guarded against Huang Wuyo's attack and leapt to a safer place. Chapter 52-64. Do you think that after scheming against me, I will still give you a chance to escape? Huang Wuyo was infuriated as his emotions became more and more violent. The profound yin qi became more and more chaotic. The raging flames in the entire sealed space started to surge more and more violently. Yiqing Luo stepped on the flaming dragon as her pink dress fluttered under the raging flames. The flames which were emitted from her body collided with the profound yin qi, giving off an intense sizzling sound. Huang Wuyo was infuriated as his face contorted, as though he was going to perish together with his opponent, emitting an intense murderous aura as he drove the profound yin qi towards Yiqing Luo. The majestic profound yin qi was filled with murderous intent. This was. All the original plans had failed, hence he flew into a rage out of humiliation, intending to drag her to hell together. Yiqing Luo ridiculed silently as she looked at Huang Wuyo vigilantly, speedily avoiding his attack range as she searched for the safest place to land. She didn't feel that Huang Wuyo was willing to die. Would he be willing to perish together with her? To Huang Wuyo, there was nothing in this world that was more important than him. To let him sacrifice his life in exchange for hers? How could that be possible? So it was impossible for Huang Wuyo to risk his life. This was what Yiqing Luo was thinking. But unfortunately, her guess seemed to be wrong. At the instance when Yiqing Luo evaded, Huang Wuyo's profound yin qi was like a black dragon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it approached Yiqing Luo speedily. He totally disregarded the encroachment of the God Emperor's sealing power. The surging profound yin qi seemed to have filled every inch of his body. Rumble, the profound yin qi collided heavily against the surrounding raging flames. In a split second, the airwaves surged like rolling waves. The entire sealed space. It set off a raging wave. As though two whirlpools were formed, desperately absorbing the remaining living beings in the seal. The people from the illusory clan were obviously greatly affected. Several illusory clan members were forced to spit out a large mouthful of blood from the corner of their lips under the two raging forces. As for the others, some of them had pale faces, as though they could not hold on any longer. While some of them had a solemn expression with a burning gaze. But from that icy cold gaze, one could tell that they were also affected by the two forces. But fortunately, when everyone noticed the discomfort, Huan III's fastest reaction was to hug the two of them into his embrace and inject profound energy to protect their heart veins and profound jade heart. Only then did they avoid being corroded by the strange energy. But, if this continued, he was afraid that they would not be able to hold on for much longer. The few people from the illusory race who were not too affected looked at each other and saw through each other's thoughts. He had to think of a way to leave this place. At this moment, Yi Qing Luo's expression wasn't particularly good. Huang Wuyo's target was him. When the two forces collided, a majestic strength qi burst out. She was the one who was affected the most. She felt as if there was something heavy in her chest that was pressing down on her. It made her feel extremely oppressed and uncomfortable. Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased tightly as she tried hard to adjust her state. Her fingertips moved lightly as it formed a protective shield in front of her. Huang Wuyo sneered coldly. Towards Yi Qing Luo's resistance, he didn't have the slightest bit of hesitation and directly attacked. His stance was as if he didn't care about his life and was using his life to fight with her. After a few rounds of exchanges, the intense murderous aura was boiling. Just as Yi Qing Luo found an opportunity to aim at Huang Wuyo's vital point, at that instance. Suddenly, the profound yin qi in front of her distorted. Chapter 52-65. A loud buzzing sound exploded in Yi Qing Luo's mind. Her slender brows creased tightly as she went into a momentary daze from the sudden explosion. That sound was like a sharp blade, piercing right into her eardrums. It was unbearable. She was very clear. This was Huang Wuyo who made use of the profound yin qi to create a sharp aura which formed into an explosion. He was trying to do what? Yi Qing Luo's narrow eyes squinted dangerously as her expression congealed slightly as she gathered her mental energy in an attempt to resist against the buzzing explosion in her mind. But it was only for this instance of absent-mindedness. The profound yin qi which was coming towards her turned into a raging wave as it whizzed towards her. The sharp and piercing aura almost swallowed Yi Qing Luo entirely. No matter how fast Yi Qing Luo's reaction was. By the time she regained her senses and wanted to avoid it, it was already too late. Huang Wuyo, who was in a rage, unleashed his profound energy which was equivalent to perishing together with his opponent. Even if Yi Qing Luo wasn't affected by this explosion, she didn't dare to guarantee that she would be able to withstand this attack from Huang Wuyo. Not to mention, Yi Qing Luo's current mental energy was totally unable to gather. From the start when the sudden explosion exploded in her mind, she was stunned for a moment, but now she was clear of her own body's condition. However, that piercing sound that seemed to want to pierce through her soul and agitate her heart was still there, affecting her. Yi Qing Luo. Not too far away, Zhu Wu Xian's cold yet worried voice rang urgently. Following that was the flustered voices of the people from the illusion clan who stopped Zhu Wu Xian. Yi Qing Luo swiftly stretched out her hand as she pressed on the azure dew bracelet. The flowing red flames were like red lightning as it gave off a dazzling radiance. She didn't dare to guarantee that she was able to withstand Huang Wuyo's self-damaging attack. But, at least she couldn't let herself be hurt by Huang Wuyo. Just at this moment, a figure flashed past Yi Qing Luo's eyes. Following that, she heard a dull moan. The body of the man in blue robes with a gentle and refined face shook violently. Raging flames flew as the blue robe flew. Under the lingering flames, the embroidery on the blue robe appeared extremely bright. Yi Qing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered. Her eyes, which were as bright as the stars, reflected the man's clear, gentle, and handsome face. Her eyebrows and eyes were as clear as jade, as if she was bathing in the spring breeze. His clear, glass-like eyes stared deeply at the young girl. It was as if he wanted to carve the young girl deep into his mind. That kind of focus, that kind of deep love. It was as if she was the only one in his world. Yi Qing Luo's throat tightened. Gu Jingyu, in front of her, the man who stood in front of her and took all of Huang Wuyo's attacks without any protection was Gu Jingyu, who had been fighting with the illusion race. Gu Jingyu, who had lost all his emotions and became a killing machine for Huang Wuyo. But now, Gu Jingyu seemed to have recovered. Qing Luo. The man's firm and smooth voice was like a warm spring breeze, pleasant to the ear and gentle. However, the moment he opened his mouth, blood slowly flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Yi Qing Luo's brows creased tightly. What are you doing? Gu Jingyu's lips curled slightly, not caring about the blood that flowed out. He only wanted to give all his gentleness and affection to Yi Qing Luo wholeheartedly. I have memories of everything that had happened during this period of time. His voice was still gentle, but his breathing was so weak that it seemed as though he would stop breathing in the next moment. Chapter 52-66. Yi Qing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered as her throat felt dry. Gu Jingyu looked at her, strenuously but stubbornly curled his lips as he gave a gentle smile. I know, I have done quite a number of wrong things. Several times, I almost hurt you. He closed his eyes, looking slightly tired but stubbornly. He wanted to open his eyes to look at her. The person I don't want to hurt the most is you. But he still did something to hurt Yi Qing Luo. Or let Yi Qing Luo into deep danger. Yi Qing Luo pursed her pink lips as she shook her head. That's not your fault. All this was because Huang Wuyo. This couldn't be blamed on Gu Jingyu. She had never blamed Gu Jingyu. After all, the one who made you become like that was me. She lowered her head slightly as she sighed softly. A faint helplessness flashed past her brows. I should apologize to you for making you lose so much. Gu Jingyu shook his head gently. That pair of deep eyes gazed deeply at Yi Qing Luo's face, that kind of concentration and greed. His pale thin lips were stained with blood, which made his face, which was gradually turning pale, become ghastly pale. I don't blame you, that was my own choice. Gu Jingyu took a deep and shallow breath. Every breath he took, his brows creased, apparently in extreme pain. Yi Qing Luo wanted to go up, to support Gu Jingyu's tottering body. Before she got close, she was stopped by Gu Jingyu. Don't come over. Yi Qing Luo's footsteps halted. Gu Jingyu's attitude was rare, cold and persistent. Don't come over, don't give me the last tenderness. Don't let me, till death, still have thoughts about you. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips moved, but she didn't know what to say. Looking at the young lady's face, that slightly struggling expression, Gu Jingyu gave a low laugh. A laugh, a cough. More and more blood seeped out from the corner of his lips. Gu Jingyu. Mixed with a raging cold sharp voice, it was hard to conceal his anger. Huang Wuyo's voice was hoarse, almost crazy. This seat saved you that time, taught you to become a strong cultivator, gave you a supreme status. This is how you repay this seat? The man who was bound by the flames sealed by the divine emperor. His face, which was exposed outside the flames, was almost distorted beyond recognition. Gu Jingyu didn't turn around. He didn't even look at him. The corners of his lips twitched slightly. Between his gentle brows, a hint of mockery flashed past. Even that light and soundless voice carried a hint of self-mockery. "Master, do you really think that I don't know anything? You saved me and taught me, just because I am a tool that can unlock your seal." He chuckled, but there was no hint of a smile in his eyes. "You and I are just using each other. How can we talk about repayment?" Huang Wuyo's face contorted as he roared in anger, "It is your honor that this seat has taken a liking to you. This is not a reason for you to betray this seat." Huang Wuyo roared. It was the mysterious Yin Qi that was contending with the raging flames. All of a sudden, it turned into a huge wave. "Since you already know what you're good for, now, it's time to play your part." Bang! As soon as Huang Wuyo finished speaking, a loud explosion rang out. Yi Qing Luo had yet to react. In front of her, the gentle and graceful young master of an aristocratic family, who had a gentle smile on his face, was instantly engulfed by the mysterious Yin energy, and it was at this moment Yi Qing Luo clearly saw, Gu Jingyu's back was already drenched in blood. "Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Seventh Miss who likes trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love." Chapter 52-67. The surging profound Yin Qi was like a sharp blade, cutting Gu Jingyu's skin. The thick profound Yin Qi drew a complicated and strange totem on his back. It was like a whirlpool, gathering behind him. Yi Qing Luo's heart was heavy. No wonder he didn't allow her to get close. Just afraid, she discovered something strange about him. He was also afraid that she would be engulfed by the profound Yin Qi that he couldn't control. Thus, he would rather suffer great pain than let her find out about it. Suddenly, a scream was heard from the crowd. A child's crisp voice made Yi Qing Luo regain her senses from the tightness in her heart. She looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw Linglong was once again lifted into mid-air by the profound Yin Qi. Feng Shi was chasing after Linglong. The thick profound Yin Qi wrapped Linglong in it. Linglong was struggling in pain in the profound Yin Qi. Feng Shi wanted to pounce forward. But how could she catch up to the profound Yin Qi? On the contrary, he was sent flying by the surging flames and the mysterious Yin energy that came from the collision. Luckily the people from the Illusion clan still had some conscience as they caught Feng Shi in time. "Master, he wants to make use of Princess Linglong's blood to break out of the array." Gu Jingyu's breathing was tight, as though he was holding on to his last breath. In the whistling air, his voice was so weak that it couldn't be heard clearly. Yi Qing Luo clenched her fists when she heard that. "Lead? I'm afraid Princess Linglong won't be able to live." Gu Jingyu shook his head strenuously. "Bring them out of here now, leave the rest to me." "What do you want to do?" Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes, not believing that Gu Jingyu had a way to suppress Huang Wuyo. Gu Jingyu lowered his head as he gave a forced smile. "I know, as Master's disciple, and I've done so many things for Master, it's natural that you don't believe me. This has nothing to do with trust, but the current situation is to seal Huang Wuyo, or rather, to make Huang Wuyo fall into eternal slumber." Yi Qing Luo walked towards Gu Jingyu. "As for you, I might have guessed what you're planning." Gu Jingyu's gentle pupils shrank slightly. When Yi Qing Luo walked right in front of him, his tottering body speedily retreated 2 steps. Because of this movement, it affected the wound on his back, and he felt a heart-wrenching pain. It was as if thousands of sharp knives were cutting his skin. "Huang Wuyo would never give you this chance, you're not his match." Yi Qing Luo stopped in her tracks and didn't go near Gu Jingyu. Her line of sight went past Gu Jingyu and landed on Huang Wuyo, who had a ferocious expression and was entangled with the power of the Divine Emperor's seal. "If you want to live, then don't get involved. Since you can come in, you must have a way out." If you can, take those people, and leave this place. Her tone became more and more solemn. Huang Wuyo was currently fighting against the power of the God Emperor's seal. As such, Linglong was not in danger for the time being. However, the moment Huang Wuyo found an opportunity, Linglong might really become the so-called primer. Linglong was born into this world. Huang Wuyo initially wanted to see, based on his genes, even if it wasn't Fenggu, to see if he could give birth to a vessel that also nurtured the divine phoenix profound jade heart. But after Linglong was born, apparently she didn't. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th young mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-68. Whereas for someone like Huang Wuyo, who only cared about benefits, he was able to let Linglong live without worries, enjoying the treatment of a princess and living till now. Other than Linglong, there were other uses. Yi Qing Luo couldn't think of any other reasons. Earlier after Gu Jingyu's reminder, Yi Qing Luo instantly understood. Linglong was Huang Wuyo's direct descendant and the blood flowing in her body was Huang Wuyo's. Huang Wuyo must have thought of some way to make use of this point as a catalyst to break the God Emperor's seal. No wonder Huang Wuyo would cast a master and servant forbidden curse on Linglong. Separated by a seal, it could be said to be another space, but he was still able to summon Linglong out of thin air. It's too late. Gu Jingyu gave a low chuckle. That chuckle was like smoke, about to dissipate in the next instance. Yi Qing Luo frowned and was just about to speak. She heard Gu Jingyu's low voice saying, "I'm Master's tool, from the moment I stepped into this place, there's no way to turn back." He seemed to have difficulty breathing as he took a deep breath, to be able to wake up at the last minute, to see you one last time, I have no regrets. His voice, word by word, seemed as though it would break any time. It was obviously difficult, but he was still trying his best to speak. Gu Jingyu, you. Yi Qing Luo heard Gu Jingyu's words, as though he was bidding farewell to her. Her brows creased even tighter as her peripheral vision saw the wisps of profound yin qi surging behind him, as her heart thumped hard. She stopped her voice and speedily approached Gu Jingyu as she stretched out her hand towards his back. His cold, bone-chilling hand gripped her wrist. At a close distance, Yi Qing Luo raised her head and met with Gu Jingyu's gentle and clear eyes. Only, she could faintly see the faint mist in between his eyes. Yi Qing Luo, you must remember me. His words had just ended. Yi Qing Luo felt a strong impact from where Gu Jingyu was holding her wrist. Immediately following that, she and Gu Jingyu were forcefully separated. Boom! The strong impact made Yi Qing Luo's body fall backwards. She stabilized her figure when she hit the space barrier which was surrounded by raging flames. However, Gu Jingyu's entire body was sucked towards Huang Wuyo. Gu Jingyu. Yi Qing Luo immediately wanted to rush towards Gu Jingyu's direction. However, the dense mysterious yin qi was like a sharp blade that cut through the raging flames in the sky. It stood in front of her, blocking her way. She wasn't sure if it was Yi Qing Luo's misconception. Huang Wuyo's strength seemed to have become stronger, not allowing Yi Qing Luo to think too much. The mysterious yin qi that was heading straight for her instantly turned into countless black threads that overlapped and intertwined in front of her eyes like shadows. At this moment, the Divine Emperor's sealing power was like a surging tidal wave, emitting a buzzing and explosive sound. Yi Qing Luo's fingertips lifted slightly as she swiftly raised the glower flame fan to block off the fatal attack, while pulling out her attention to look at Huang Wuyo. On the other side, Gu Jingyu and Linglong floated to the left and right of Huang Wuyo. The dense mysterious yin qi was like an iron chain, binding them. But what made Yi Qing Luo shocked was, under the guidance of Huang Wuyo's mysterious yin qi, the two of them on the left and right actually formed an extremely mysterious black light pillar. The direction that the light pillar headed towards. It was that piece of stone which was carved with a phoenix, which was also the stone tablet which was carved with the words, Huang Wuyo's grave. The huge stone tablet, under the entanglement of the raging flames and mysterious yin qi, kept spinning crazily in mid-air. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 52-69. Even though they were separated by a long distance, Yi Qing Luo could clearly feel that light pillar contained a powerful and boundless energy. If this went on, the Divine Emperor's seal would definitely collapse. Yi Qing Luo's expression was solemn as her gaze turned towards Huang Wuyo. What on earth did he do? Could it be because of Linglong and Gu Jingyu, he had obtained a new power? And this power was enough to go against the God Emperor seal? Huang Wuyo was thinking of forcefully breaking the seal. Yi Qing Luo realized Huang Wuyo's motive as her expression turned solemn. She squinted her long and narrow eyes as her fingertips moved and swiftly opened up a profound ray, enveloping that stone tablet. Closely and speedily attacking Huang Wuyo, attempting to stop his actions. 3 bursts of energy, in this not considered small but not big space, collided with one another as it agitated the entire space's air. It seemed as though there was a faint profound wave, rippling one after another. The people from the Illusion clan were obviously unable to hold on any longer as all of them relied on the illusory barrier to stabilize themselves. Some of them were even unable to stand properly. Ha! Huang Wuyo's sharp gaze fell onto Yi Qing Luo, who was trying to stop him as his lips curled into a sinister sneer. Following that, a loud, rumbling sound was heard. That surging profound yin qi suddenly expanded rapidly as it shot towards Yi Qing Luo. That momentum was filled with a piercingly cold murderous intent. It was as though a hand stretched out from hell, trying to pull Yi Qing Luo into hell. As the profound yin qi surged to the maximum, as though it was released to the maximum. That thick black yin qi was dyed with a layer of dark and unclear, totally undistinguishable strange flowing light. This sudden change in energy fluctuation made Yi Qing Luo's face turn slightly pale as her petite body, which was suspended in mid-air, took 2 steps back. Apparently, it was already a little strenuous. At the same time, Huang Wuyo's cold smile and the twisted expression on his face slowly grew bigger. His gaze congealed as he shot out a burst of thick black yin qi. Instantly, the sky filled with monstrous profound yin qi turned into a huge black dragon as it brandished its claws and extended its huge tongue, directly swallowing towards Linglong. The other side. Gu Jingyu, whose entire body was dripping with blood, let out a painful groan as his whole body was filled with mysterious yin energy. Yi Qing Luo could clearly see Gu Jingyu, who was held in midair by the mysterious yin energy, had the strange totems drawn by the mysterious yin energy on her back spread out bit by bit along with the mysterious yin energy, emitting a black glow. It flickered on and off, like a mandala blooming in hell. It was so alluring that it was suffocating. A deafening explosion suddenly rang out from the 3 steels that were fighting against each other behind her. Yi Qing Luo was pushed back 2 steps by the aftershock. The stone tablet was completely covered by the light pillar of mysterious yin qi. Crack, vaguely, amidst the explosion, Yi Qing Luo heard some shattering sounds. It was a seal, the Divine Emperor seal was about to collapse. It seemed like she was not the only one needed to undo the seal. Linglong and Gu Jingyu were also crucial. If he did not stop Huang Wuyo's evil technique, she had no way to protect the sealing stone tablet. Just as Yi Qing Luo's vision was moving back and forth between Linglong and Gu Jingyu, a burst of golden light broke through the interweaving between the raging flames and the profound yin qi, charging straight towards Linglong. Let go of Linglong, no one is allowed to hurt Linglong. It was a crisp child's voice, but it was filled with extreme anger. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. 7th Miss Who Likes Trash, Overlord, please be gentler with your love. Chapter 5270. Yi Qing Luo turned her head and saw a small figure shooting towards Huang Wuyo like a cannonball. Feng Shi. Yi Qing Luo's pupils contracted. Who else could it be if it wasn't Feng Shi? At this moment, Feng Shi was covered in a dazzling golden light, which circled around her body again and again. The dazzling golden profound light made him look extremely noble and unapproachable. Most importantly, the aura that Yi Qing Luo sensed from Feng Shi was totally different from his usual self. Instead, it was a kind of energy wave which could explode the entire space, crazily crashing against the entire sealed space. Yi Qing Luo's vision fell onto Feng Shi's face. That golden light circulated. That young man's face was already delicate and handsome at such a young age. A totem which looked like a blooming cherry blossomed on the young man's forehead. That was God Emperor's imprint. That was the God Emperor's imprint, which would only appear after being recognized by the God Emperor's inheritance. She had one on her forehead. She had not expected that. Feng Shi's forehead would also have this totem. That meant that Feng Shi was also a descendant which was recognized by the ancient God Emperor and could accept the God Emperor's inheritance to become the next God Emperor's successor. Feng Shi usually didn't show much of herself. But this time, when Linglong met with danger, it completely stimulated Feng Shi's potential and also, the God Emperor's imprint. But Feng Shi was after all just a child. Even if she stimulated her potential, it was like throwing an egg against a rock against Huang Wuyo. And Huang Wuyo would definitely not be soft-hearted towards Feng Shi. Seeing Feng Shi charging towards Huang Wuyo without any regard for the consequences, Yi Qing Luo's fingertips clenched the glower flame fan and was about to protect Feng Shi. But, at the moment when Feng Shi exploded earlier, Yi Qing Luo's attention was all on Feng Shi. So she didn't notice. The black light pillar which Huang Wuyo had condensed on the stone tablet was already shooting towards her direction. By the time Yi Qing Luo wanted to save Feng Shi, it was already too late. She only felt a chill down her spine as a deathly chill seeped into her skin. There was a metallic taste in his throat, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. As for Feng Shi, under Huang Wuyo's sinister smile, the surging mysterious Yin Qi was like a huge palm that could take someone's life. Bit by bit, it slapped toward Feng Shi's head. This power fell. Feng Shi was either dead or crippled. However, it was too late for Yi Qing Luo. Even if she ran at her fastest speed, she wouldn't be able to catch up. This moment of distraction gave Huang Wuyo a chance. Yi Qing Luo couldn't evade it in time. The thick black mysterious Yin Qi became more and more violent. It almost suppressed the raging flames in the sealed space. Huang Wuyo stared greedily at the Divine Emperor's mark on Feng Shi's forehead with his sinister eyes, and there was wild joy in his eyes. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect to see a second descendant of the Feng family recognized by the Divine Emperor. The heavens are indeed kind to me. Even the heavens wish for me to leave this damned place. Huang Wuyo licked his dry lips, the fire in his eyes almost burning Feng Shi. The mysterious Yin Qi that seemed to have come from hell reached towards Feng Shi's face bit by bit. The fingertip landed on the Divine Emperor's mark. Feng Shi only felt as if a ball of ice had touched her skin, making her unable to move, as if she had been frozen into ice. She wanted to struggle. But an inexplicable suction force was rapidly absorbing the energy in her body. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. Trash 7th Young Mistress, Lord Dizun, please be gentler with your love. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.